Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. What do we got here? We got Jay Palmer, we got Loner, we got Darkrai, we got Von Falkenstein. We even have Robo's doll, who is hopefully doing as well as is possible. Okay. Okay, now that Bonanza and Perry are finally in the mood to help, we can take the Operation Furrow Field Farm to the next level. Right. Problem is, the farm needs soil and seeds, and it looks like you're fresh out of both. Oh, any ideas? For a mob of 8 builders, you certainly seem to be lost without one. What's the story there anyway? What's so bad about builders? Come on, let's get to the root of this. Of course, the root. I suppose it's more of a bulb, really. Whatever it is, it certainly isn't a cabbage. That could be the next thing we grow.
Hi.
Here you go. Okay. I always suspected it might be special, so I've kept it hidden away this whole time. Huh? Hey, Runner, get a load of that. The platform. It's glowing. It must be because you're a builder and you're holding the bulb. Go on, plant the light bulb. Well, you can't change your hairstyle, Van Falkenstein, but you can change the color. Last time I played this, I played with shock white hair, which is, my style. So I decided to go with the specific brand of blue that my hair was once upon a time. So, blue. And good morning, ISE, and Fife, and Blade Taval, and Gum Gum. Could this be? Oh, fiddlesticks. We've really gone and done it this time. The Master of Destruction is sure to strike us down. Master of Destruction? Who the heck is that? What? Have you really never heard of the Master of Destruction? Does that mean you don't know about the Children of Hargon either? I see. You really weren't just playing dumb. You really don't know about the evils of building. We've been talking at cross purposes this whole time. Let me explain. Everyone in Furrowfield follows the teachings of High Priest Hargon, handed down to us by his illustrious children. On this island, building isn't just forbidden, it's a serious sin. Rosie! We're in a whole heap of trouble. The pastor's on his way over. He must have seen the light from the tree.
Huh.
What in the name of Hargon is happening here? Who planted this tree? Answer me, faithless wretches! Yeah, that was me. What? Building a farm, you say? Heresy! How dare you sully my island with the sinful stain of creation? You'll pay dearly for this. I'm sorry. The fields and the cabbages were my idea. Don't punish Runner just because he's a builder. A builder? This witless-looking whelp? Wait, this tree. Could it really be? Could it be what? If you know something about it, then spit it out. If I'm not mistaken, this is the Undeia tree, the sacred sentinel of the Furrowfield Forest, beneath whose blessed boughs this isle once flourished. Hear me, wayward vessels, I have had a change of heart. I have seen the fruits of your labors, and I have decided to forgive you your sins. My superiors will need not know of your arboreal indiscretion. I will keep your secret, so long as you keep growing this tree. But should it dwindle and die, then so shall you. Grow the tree, but I don't know how to... You need not worry on that account, my child. Furrowfield's most ancient legends tell of exactly what one must do to see a Deia tree grow tall and strong. You must harvest 15 cabbages. It was once famed for its succulent cabbages. You must harvest 50 sheaves of wheat. People of Furrowfield once enjoyed a wide range of foods, and wheat formed a cornerstone of many a delicious dish. You may find you need to travel to find the seeds you need. And you must till 50 blocks of earth. Furrowfield was once a farmer's paradise, with fields stretching out as far as the eye can see, and no farm can operate without plowed soil. 50 squares will suffice. It is not, J. Palmer. You can fail to progress, but you cannot lose progress. If you cannot find enough clean soil, I recommend you find a means of making more. I've heard of the so-called Dia Tree. It was a mighty magical tree that protected all life on Furrowfield, or so they say. If that's true, and if we can really grow a new Dia Tree, we might be able to bring light and life back to the island after all. Hold on. A creepy monster turns up out of the blue, and suddenly you're going along with everything he says? What makes you think he can be trusted? We have a live one, I see. Such a spirited soul make a fine offering to the Master of Destruction. Oh, don't make a fuss, Valroth. We're not in a position to argue here. You too, Runner. I can't do this without you. Please say you'll help us grow the Dia Tree and bring Furrowfield Farm back to life. Okay. Yippee! Thank you, Runner. I knew you wouldn't let me down. A wise decision, young builder. Should you lose sight of your goal, talk to me. So, I don't know where we're going to find wheat, seeds, or more earth to till, but we'll figure something out. I never expected the pastor to appear out of the blue like that. Scared the living daylight out of me, he did. And on top of that, he turned out to be interested in the tree you planted. Oh, you've been playing it, Bragman? And more to the point, you've been enjoying it? Because that's the awesome part. Why do you believe this children of Hargon, Rugbush? Anyways, look at your pastor. He's dressed like someone's grandmother. To tell you the truth, I've never given it much thought before. I've been a believer since long as I can remember. That's just the way it has always been. Yeah. Oh, but before I forget, Runner, have you tried eating one of those cabbages you harvested? You've been growing a big good pile of the things, so you may as well just get into how delicious they are. Go on, have a nibble of one of those cabbages. Okay, well, ironically, I've been cooking all of mine, so I don't actually... Oh, okay. Yeah, this game is very heavily on the one more quest. Let's explain that very briefly. First of all, also, good morning, Ect, and Bragman, and Type 3B, and Dark Day. And, did I miss anybody? I guess not. Nobody's here. So, everybody knows the one more term phrase, right? It's like, oh my god, I just need to play one more turn. What most people probably don't actually know is that that's a specific aspect of game design, not just an indication that a game is good. It's, this is most commonly known in 4X games, because 4X games excel at this. The idea is, you want to have a near constant stream of micro-progression, right? The idea is that the player always feels like they're accomplishing something because they are. Now, that's cool, but the consequence, the side effect of that particular bit of game design is there's usually not really any big breaking point, right? So, you're like, quest. Oh, it's 3 in the morning. Because the human mind usually looks for things like pause points, which then gives you a moment to think, and then you can just stretch and relax and move forward, right? You get the idea. And that's usually when your brain notices that you're hungry or you're tired or it's 3 in the morning. But if you have a bunch of micro progressions, then it's a lot harder because there's no natural pause point. Now, Dragon Quest Builders 2 isn't terrible about that because it does actually have really, really big, obvious pause points each chapter. But there's only like 5 chapters in the entire game, so you're not going to hit a chapter for a while. I mean, we only hit the first chapter all of yesterday. Like, it took us all of yesterday to go through the intro and the tutorial. So you can kind of get an idea of how long these stretches are before there's a big gap. And, again, the stream of little quests is pretty much constant. And that's ignoring the fact that you can just get up and wander out and do whatever. Because there's a lot of exploring you can do at most points in the game. Let's go and do the quest here.
Oh.
Actually, I started about half an hour late because I was trying to get some paperwork done this morning. You had one of them cabbages, didn't you? Good and filling, wasn't it? They'll do a fine job of healing your wounds, too. There ain't much on the island in the way of curatives, so you're going to need to eat your greens while you're here. You know, I got dragged here by Rosie. She was hell-bent on rebuilding the farm, you see. I was more worried about being found out by the children of Argon. But I don't have to worry about that anymore, do I? Maybe I can even become a builder like you. I'm gonna have to do a lot of building from now on, and if the children don't like it, they can get stuffed. Who dares speak ill of the children of Argon? What foul sinner defies my divine authority? Show yourself or face the full wrath of my righteous fury. Shimmery Troy, that pastor's got ears on him like a blimmin' bat. Alright. So, you're gonna hate this answer, Act, but the answer is, it depends. Shocking. But give me a second. Let's get on a true quest point here before we think about this. Okay. We really? Yeah. Let's make a couple of these. Oh yeah, by the way, mass crafting, quality of life feature, plus the gameplay. In a game all about building, you really, really need to be on it when it comes to making the actual crafting experience not a pain. I can think of several games, especially MMOs, which fail at this particular task. So being able to build in batches, being able to search and filter easily, seeing cross-reference materials in the interface window, stuff like that. That's the kind of thing that's really a good positive when it comes to that kind of thing. So we're going to go ahead and get the positive for that. Actually, we might give that 2 positives. Like, basically, this screen right here is really good. In fact, I haven't even shown you how good it is yet. So WoW, for example, is a good example of how not to do crafting. And don't mistake me, I love WoW to death, and I do. But its crafting, up until the most recent expansion, has been pretty junk. It's been, at best, a wash. Because there's just nothing there. There's no real gameplay, there's no real good interface design or engaging stuff to do. It's literally just gather stuff, make stuff. And I know what you're thinking, well, isn't that just crafting? But think about what I just said linearly. Imagine if you had a game where you just gather stuff, and then you hit a button. That's not really engaging, is it? In fact, to be perfectly blunt, that's not even gameplay. That's just, you hit a button. You know what I mean? WildStar experimented with having actual gameplay for its crafting, which was nice. Final Fantasy XIV makes crafting a whole thing, which is cool, if extremely tedious, but still cool. And, I guess that's actually kind of it. Guild Wars 2 is like WoW, but with a speed up button. I thought... Maybe I didn't jot that down. I don't think I did jot it down. Great source. Hang on. Let's go ahead and just put cooking, and we'll put a question mark by there, because there's so much you can do with cooking. See, I agree with that, Shrike, but the problem is, and this is just my opinion, as an amateur game analyst who's been doing this for a decade now, if you're going to have crafting to just kind of be there and not be part of the gameplay, then don't have crafting be there. And I'm not trying to be harsh about this. Think about this for a moment. That's even ignoring the fact that it's just padding at that point. It's extra development time, balancing time. You have to figure out which crafting materials make which things, and you have to figure out the distribution of those materials, and then you have to figure out the procs and bonuses for how you can get more materials. And there's a lot of work that goes into tacking crafting onto WoW that doesn't really need to be there, right? You could just axe it and save all of that development time and resources. Because remember, game development is a zero-sum game. Any time you spend working on something is time spent not working on something else. They are, Shrike. You're absolutely right. Crafting in Tor used to be terrible. I actually don't remember what it's like right now, but it used to be terrible, and that's about all we're gonna say about that. It was actually picture WoW's, but worse, and you've got it. Um, Having said that, Dragonflight has been trying to vary up crafting a little bit by actually adding things like crafting gear and crafting stats are a thing now. And they've tried to add, actual abilities you can use while crafting and gathering. They're doing something with it, but let's be honest, what they're effectively doing is they're copying FF14. So, anyways, what am I doing? What am I doing? Right. Sorry, I was actually giving a positive, and then I got off topic. I apologize for that. Let's beautify a little bit. I should probably not spend too much time, ironically, crafting in this particular playthrough. As much as I love doing it. Like, you remember last time we had like this 3-story thing here, and it was cool, and we actually built like a whole base, and I actually built a barrier marking where the edges of the boundary of the base were. All the attacks will come from over here, so we had like a moat with defenses in it. It was great. Oh god, I never noticed it, Darkrai. Why did you do that to me? Listen to the sound effect of walking around on slime. Underground high-rise. I love it. Please share pics when you get there. Yeah, I'm at least going to do some beautifying. At least. So, I know this is going to sound strange, because this game does not get credit for it. But this game is such a quality of life improvement over the first game, it's shocking. I enjoyed the first game, honestly, a little bit more for the novelty of it, than by virtue of it actually being a good game. The level of changes that they did to this is huge. Even just little stuff, like, for example, they straightened most of the crafting tree, so instead of having to gather X to build Y to build Z, you gather Z. And just, it's smoothing out a lot of the production chains, so to speak. And just, God, I couldn't even. It's an absolutely huge list to craft. Here, let me show you what happens when you try to break something unbreakable, because we've got something like that right here. Which game has the best crafting system? I don't know. Nothing comes to mind immediately, which is usually a sign. When Rosie led us to this ruined farm, I had my doubts about her whole plan. Last thing I expected was to meet a builder here. Still, I expect there must be some advantages to having someone like you around. For instance, you can make buildings, can you not? Perhaps you've already noticed the large red door by the field. How would have you convert the ruined rooms around it into our new sleeping quarters? The key thing is to ensure the walls are at least 2 blocks high. We also need a door, of course, and here's the... So he's basically tutorializing the rooms system, which we will talk about in a second. But actually, hang on. Darkrai is correct. That actually isn't unbreakable. There is such a thing as truly unbreakable in this game, and that is... that. That is actually unbreakable. Essential flag, to put it into, Oblivion or Skyrim terms. Alright. Just give me a minute. I don't want my floor to be slime, okay? What do you want from me? To my knowledge, you cannot craft unbreakable blocks, no. But there is a lot of post-game stuff, which I have actually done, but it's been a while, so don't quote me on that. Yeah, but it's less accurate, Crazy Horse. So. I gotta decide how crazy I'm gonna go with this. Oh god. I mean, there are mods that let you place bedrock, but, yeah, that can be a problem. There is a finite down. Hang on, let me save. Let's go make a well, shall we? So there's bedrock right there. So that's how deep it goes. What's actually really funny... Shut up, Crazy Nerds. What's really funny is, when you... one of the ways that this game was improved over... so we're just gonna... It's actually literally quicker to do this. When they was improving this game for the first game, one of the first things they changed was the height. They increased the height limit in both directions. In the first game, you were actually really limited on height. Like, you could go up, I want to say, like, 10 blocks, and you could only go down, like, 4. So you were very much flat in terms of what you could build. Even getting a second story was, like, a thing. Well, the first thing they do, Gum Gum, is they whip them, and whip them, and whip them, and whip them, and whip them. Okay, okay. Oof. I think we did it. I think we did it. We're cool. We're cool. Finances. Okay, so... Let's put it this way. Let's say that you have your money in an account which is generating interest. In other words, you are investing your money. Now, obviously that has some long-term, real-life consequences because investment is a bubble and is kind of problematic in several ways, and honestly, the older I get, the more I think the very concept of investment probably shouldn't exist, but let's ignore that for a second, because investment absolutely does exist. So, if you are investing your money, generally speaking, it is better to go ahead and save up money for one big purchase. The reason why is because all of that money is sitting there generating money while you're saving up. Now, that's not always going to be true, and in some cases it's actually literally impossible. Let's use our first asterisk. So asterisk number 1. Let's say you're trying to generate money in order to get something that actually matters for you, something, a business expense, put simply. In that case, it would actually be much better to go ahead and try to get access to the asset in question as quickly as possible, because that way you have access to the asset in question and can immediately start gaining the benefit of it. And that initial benefit will then increase your overall income and or productivity, which will then get you more money over time, which will then be more worthwhile in order to do it. So the general idea is to try and maximize your money at throughput. Make sense? Having said all of that, I will actually freely admit, from a completely personal perspective, I prefer to save up and do big purchases. It's substantially easier to keep track of, among other things, but also there's no nice way to put this. It's less messed up from like a large-scale philosophical perspective, and it usually costs less too. Because usually if you're getting something immediately and doing small payments, then what you're actually doing is you're paying more money. Either you're paying the fees, or you're paying the interest, or you're paying something in order to afford it more. Let me use a direct example. Last year, I got into a rather serious car accident and survived, but my car didn't. I had to buy a new car in order to stay functional. So, I had several options there, and what I did is I bought a car. And just handed over a check of for several $1,000s and said, "Here, give me the car." Now, that's more for a large-scale purchase, but ironically, in real-life economics, usually the larger scale the purchase, the less likely it is that you can save up and afford it. This is one of the reasons business loans is one of the largest industries on the entire planet.
Yep.
I'm not going to go too hog wild with gathering yet, because there's a specific thing I want, which is going to be 3 positives, no rally style. Possibly more than 3 when we get there. Exactly, Loner. No, you're exactly right. Now, we could argue as to whether or not certain things should cost that much. That's a much more complicated topic. But the reality of the moment is if you want a car, or you want a computer, or you want a home, and those are generally the big ones, then you're going to need a loan, which means you're going to be spending more money than you otherwise would in order to procure the item that you want. And yeah, real estate is a completely different scale of what we're talking about. Right, that's what I'm doing. I'm sitting like, what am I doing? I might try something different this time around, just to be funny about it. Hang on. So I mentioned once that I don't like Linux. So, let me first explain why I don't like Linux. It's very, very simple. Linux is great if you know exactly what you're doing, and you want to do one specific thing. I do not, and I do not. Therefore, I use Windows. What I need is something I can use for everything. Now, you could argue, but you can use Linux for everything. Yeah, but most people don't really understand what I mean by that. Imagine having to set things up special for each individual program, and often each individual configuration of each individual program. Now, what you'll end up with is a much more customized and arguably better experience, but the setup time for literally everything is just a little bit too much for me, you know? How far down do I want to go with this? Capital punishment is something that is one of those interesting topics, because really it's more interesting to talk about in fiction land than in reality land, and that's going to be my answer to you there. Yes, Act. If you are going to... yes, you can... So, okay, Linux allows the user a greater amount of customization. That's sort of the point, right? That's the benefit thereof. The problem with that is because the training wheels are off so hard, you can actually completely screw with your own OS. And in some cases, actually your hardware, too, if you really don't know what you're doing. Hey, Magister. Well, we're not at Moonbrook yet, Crazy Horse, but, you know. There we go. No slime. Well, yeah, because hardware, this is going to sound strange, only functions so long as the software tells it what to do. Which means, if you have software that is unshackled, I think is the term for that, then you can do all kinds of things to your hardware. Yeah, exactly. I would actually recommend that to anybody who's trying to mess around with Linux for the first time. Just set up a good little quick virtual server and just kind of do that. Because at the very least, if you set it up right, you will only brick your virtual server and not your actual physical hardware. So Blade Terminal asked a question too. I know there's another question I was thinking about. And that question was, has this game been pulling an XCOM 2 yet? The fact that twice now I found myself just getting lost in crafting probably answers you. But so far, no, we haven't been pulling an XCOM 2. So far. We'll see how that lasts. Oh no. Speaking of this game, Wait a minute, comma. Why is that kitten eating the other cat? Exclamation mark. What, just calling it an XCOM? I mean, actually, you know, XCOM 2 might be the most stark example we've seen so far of a game that just I walked in expecting to love and really didn't. So, anyways, I mentioned I was going to talk about the crafting interface because it's already awesome. But here, check this out. So first of all, there's the new stuff. That's neat. But no, what's really neat is we have a quest right now. And this is cross-referencing in a nutshell. The overwhelming majority of games will not actually do this. They will say, okay, so you've got a quest to place lights, to throw your controller on the ground, to place lights and beds and whatever else, right? And then if you are in the middle of the crafting menu and you're like, oh shoot, I forget what I was going to craft, then you have to pop back out of the menu, pull up the quest menu, check it, leave the quest menu, and then go back into the crafting menu. This is cross-referencing 101 right here. The fact that you can actually see that's for a quest. I love that. I unironically love that quite a bit. Okay, let's give some people a place to sleep, shall we? Oh, I'm carrying something, that's why. Blistering baboons, builder. Look at this bedroom. It's better than I imagined it would be. Now we need not wander about in the monster-infested dark of night. We can sleep in the safety of this room and awake well-rested on the next morning. Why, with the builder on board, we need not stop at a single bedroom. We can have houses, hot food, happiness. Meandering mollusks. All these years I've been thinking they were beings of pure evil. How could I have been so misinformed? My lad, ever since I heard you ring that bell, I've been overcome with a desire to build. That settles it. My days of pandering to the children of Hargon are over. I shall leave those fanatics and become a builder. Together we shall bring life back to Furrowfield. And the art of room building is fundamental to that. You should make more rooms.
Yup.
Also, I found these seeds in my beard when I was combing it this morning. Thanks. So I believe that is officially when we're going to start spawning monsters at night. That's cool. I trust that the bounty of my beard, I refer of course to the seeds I gave you, aids you in your quest to restore the Deitry. We Furrowfieldians shall do our part, toiling in the field, sleeping in our fine new bedroom, recovering our strength for another day's labor. What will you do while we wait for the cabbages? Might I suggest you make that bedroom lovelier? Maybe some farming tools and a stack of firewood. Okay. Hello, Zacto. I mean, that's what I would do, J. Palmer. Give me the seeds! Oh, God. I mean, this may sound weird, but my favorite chapter of Dragon Quest Builders 1 was Chapter 4. I know that's weird. Go sleep, you dumbass. My mother saw the new Indiana Jones. She said it's very sci-fi, which I feel safe on sharing. That's the only thing I'm going to share without spoilers, but... There he is. So, as I mentioned, from now on, that guy's gonna start spawning at night. We aren't really equipped to kill him yet. Now, the best part is we don't have a bed, but we can just plop it wherever. So we're gonna do that. Those things are mean. That's the thing that was giving my niece anxiety that I mentioned earlier. Yeah, you can also kick the NPCs out of their beds, and they'll be like, hey! That's what my sister usually does. Okay, so we've got one place here. Yeah, this time Zan cannot interfere. Sorry, I'm debating something. And yeah, you can't get ambushed once you've successfully gone to sleep. There are circumstances in which you can't sleep, though. So this is how you can be tactically faster at this kind of thing. And I say technically faster because you have to aim it right, but you can hit 2 blocks instead of 1 at a time to clear quicker. I mean, Furfield Farms is an awesome island. Speaking of which, we really do need to judge the intro at some point. I keep having it in the back of my mind and part of the mental to-do list, and I keep kind of spacing it because I'm stupid. We're gonna leave some of this alone for now. We don't have all the tools we really need yet. Must build. Oh, sorry. So, let's do... We're going to go ahead and make a slime barrier just so I can mark the edge. And you can tell the exact point where the edge is because it's where the music stops. Or changes, excuse me. So, see. Music. Music. See. Thank you, G. Cormos, very, very much, as always. And if you give me a moment, I will jot that down for the Urquan Masters. Oh, I already lost it. It's gone. It's gone. Already scrolled off the screen. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. There we go. Batman, Arkham City, and Origins, and Diablo 4. You got it. Is that even on the list? Either way, thank you, G. Cormos, very, very much. Let's find the other edge here. Right there. Okay, D4 is on the list. Thank you for checking. Like I said, we're just doing a really basic outline kind of a thing here. Nothing fancy. I just want the edge to be marked visually. Right here. No, D4 isn't vetoed. I just haven't bought it yet. I have no real interest in it. Diablo Immortal, that's vetoed like crazy. I hope you have fun with it, Crazy Norse. Whatever that is. I love her just shoving Malroth forward. part of the reason this is so relevant is only stuff that is inside the base counts when it comes to things like buildings or quests or whatever, right? You can build anywhere, but the only stuff that really counts is inside the base. And that's especially true for things like the NPCs. So if I, just random example, set up a restaurant, which is a thing you can build later, out there, nobody will do anything with it because it doesn't count. Makes sense? If you try to add Mega Man X Dive to the list, I will personally hunt you down in real life and bury you alive in donuts. And that may sound pleasant until you think about it for a minute. Also, all mobile games are forbidden, even if they get ported to PC. Oh, sounds like you're doing a tailgate then, Crazy Horse. Which I am familiar with a tailgate. Good, Nara. Kill this, please. See, that's okay, because KOTOR 2 is not a mobile game ported to PC. It is a PC game ported to mobile. Is the distinction. Looks like it's this one. Good morning, Walker. Yep. Possibly X. It's always a question mark. Her schedule is a little bit more malleable than mine, so we'll see. I know KOTOR 1 is. I'm actually not familiar with KOTOR 2 is or not. Bombarded here. She has more free time because, you know, she's not working right now, but that means she has to squeeze as much other stuff in there as possible before she goes back to her 9 to 5. There's actually more like a 7 to 3, but you get the point. Yeah. School hours. Of course I played Mario Kart with the kiddos. Not on camera, but... No, we have a limited summer here, but not an actual absence of summer. Which, if I could be blunt for a second, am I the only person who thinks that the idea of having to waste your summer going to more school is actually terrible? Granted, I hated school, so that's probably part of my impression there. Maybe if school wasn't crap. I mean, let's be very, very blunt here. School is an expensive daycare. Or an inexpensive daycare, depending. Right here. mean, yeah, I don't know about in other countries, but here, teachers work extraordinarily long hours because they don't really have a 9 to 5. You know, when school gets out, the teacher doesn't get to go home. They get to finish their work for the day, which may or may not take a minute, or 30, or 90. Oh no, we're hungry. First time, actually. All we have to eat is cabbages. I'd rather starve. Well, it's okay, Walker. Alright, everyone in chat, I need you to execute Walker immediately. No, just use the knife or something. I don't care. Something quick. Okay, thanks. Okay. No, I'd say that goes the other way around. I'm good. Something I try to explain to people that most people don't seem to understand is that even if you magically finger-snapped away the concept of an economy, what would happen very naturally is that a concept of economy would immediately rise back up again. All economics is, really, is the distribution and allocation of resources and time. It's kind of impossible to have sentient sapient people functioning and not have economy. It's just, it's literally part of being social. It's how it is. Okay, let's just while we're here, let's go ahead and finish this up really quick. Look, Crazy Norse. What can I say? I like builders, I like conquerors. Although even in strategy games, I tend to be more of a builder than a fighter. That's always been true. Like even back in like StarCraft, the original. What was my first WoW profession combo? Miner and engineer. Like a moron. Okay, we've got our outline, so we know the limits of our base now. I'm still debating if I want to level the whole thing or not. I'm kind of leaning towards yes, mostly because I've never done it before, but let's go ahead and wait on doing more of that until we have better tools. I mostly just wanted the outline for now. Well, it's not a bad combo anymore, but back in the day, WoW wasn't what you would call a finished game, is the nice way to put that. And, engineering was extraordinarily unfinished. So imagine playing an early, functional game which has an unbalanced, unfinished profession, which has no real benefit to actually having that profession. And you've kind of got an idea for why I was a moron for doing that. There it is. So, okay, I've been yammering about economics, conquering the world, and building. I suppose I should actually review the game I'm playing at some point. Correct, Blachevall. Engineering was the problem. Yeah, the game's good. We're good. Alright, so let's talk about WoW. Let's talk about WoW and Star Trek. Okay, so if the Borg met the Legion, They assimilate demons. Now, that sounds like a joke, but I've actually heard that exact question before. More than once. Anyways. Yeah, that's the other thing. You needed leather stuff, cloth stuff, um, alchemy stuff, I want to say, and of course, smithing stuff in order to make engineering. And yeah. I mean, it's true, but Falkenstein. Can the Borg assimilate the Force? Yeah, that is the question. The general answer to that tends to be yes, but shrug. Words. Okay. Rooms. Let's talk about rooms. Rooms are freaking awesome. So, rooms, God, it's hard for me to even verbally explain why rooms are so great. Because rooms are a dynamic build blueprint, which means they have a set of requirements, but that's it. How you specifically design the room does not matter as long as that room meets the requirements. So you need to have, usually you have to have the 2-height wall that determines the limits of the room. Um, and then you add specific stuff that was within the space of that 2-height wall. So you can have very unique shapes, you can have huge sizes, middle sizes, small sizes, and as long as it has the stuff in it, you can build those things. So that's already cool. The fact that it's dynamic enough in order to be able to adapt to whatever design you want to. What they could have done, I think you're right, Darkrai. What they could have done instead, and they didn't, is they could have done what most of these type of games do, where you just plop down a room, like literally just clunk, and you attach the room there, and then you kind of Lego the rooms together. But instead, rooms can be whatever as long as they fulfill the requirements. So, as long as this room has a farming tool, a firewood, 2 of any type of bed, and 1 of any type of light source, boom, there's a farmer's bedroom. Now, you're probably thinking, well, what's the benefit? Well, first of all, you can actually see the benefit right there in the lower right. Residents will sleep in the beds is the benefit of the basic room. But most rooms will then trigger different AI scripts for different types of NPCs. So, I mentioned the restaurant earlier. If I set up a kitchen, for example, certain people who have the cooking skill will then go into the room and start cooking automatically on their own because I've set up the room for them. And so you can see how the room and the NPC profession thing that we've already given a positive for kind of naturally dovetail into each other. In short, you're not just building a place because it looks neat, you're building a place because it's functional. And that's kind of awesome. Yeah, it's very similar to RimWorld, was exactly the comparison I was going to make. Ugh. Because, once a RimWorld citizen sees, oh, there's this thing over here which allows me to do this, I love this system to death. It's dynamic, it's very well designed, and it has very few flaws. You can really stretch the room system, and I love it to death. Anybody who actually watched my last playthrough knows that I had a huge room, I don't know, about a mile in the sky, which was my bedroom. And, of course, there's so many cool things to do on this. We'll still have more of this as we go. I'm talking it up a bit, I apologize. But right now, we're just going to go ahead and give several pluses to the room system because it's dynamic, it's fun, it interacts nicely with the NPCs, and there's a great way to just kind of do whatever with it, right? As Crazy Norris mentions, you can experiment with it, and you can also just mess around with it. Now, you can't mix and match rooms. What I mean by that is one room can only be one designation. So that's its own problem. However, there's kind of an asterisk on top of that. Here, let's show off that asterisk. So, give me a sec. Let's just get this going real quick here, just very quickly. Start. If only it was daytime. Yeah, there's a lot of different rooms, technically, but most of them are, as Darkrai points out, merely upgrades of the same room type. For example, bedroom... God, there's got to be, like, at least 15 different variants on bedroom.
Yep.
That's not a complaint, by the way, it's just a statement of fact. Door. There we go. So, hey, small room. Now... Oh, I did it wrong.
Yep.
Oh, here, J. Palmer, no question. No question. I mean, if nothing else, the fact that I am replaying this for, at this point, the 4th time, as opposed to Minecraft, which I haven't gone back to in years. So you notice how that interacted? You probably didn't because I was in first-person mode. So let me explain that really quick by simply making it happen again. So, this is now a small room. I plop down the door. And now it's 2 rooms. See? So like I said, you literally cannot have one room be 2 things. Each one has only one designation. If you build a room inside another room, it gets rid of the existing room and makes 2 rooms in its place. Make sense? No, it's still valid. You can still do that. It's just that's how that works. It's a great system. I love the room system very unabashedly. I'm actually going to put a question mark by that because that might blossom out into more than 3 positives, depending on how we define it. Also true, Darkrai. And no, because it... so, to my knowledge, the absolute minimum requirements for any room is this right here. 2x2 space, 2 height walls, and a door. So, like, for example, if I just plop down a door out here, it doesn't do anything because it doesn't have the space, right?
Yep.
I love how I can break some of this stuff, but not all of it. I forgot these are protected blocks. Anyways, let's go ahead and advance the cloth. That's more like it. The smell of the firewood, the rustic ambience of the farming equipment. That was a fine idea if I do say so myself. No doubt you noticed that a bedroom you just made became a farmer's bedroom. This is the room system that we just talked about. Oh, also, the better the room, the more hearts the people give you every day that they sleep. So you're probably thinking, what's the benefit of rooms, like bedrooms, for example? Because a restaurant or a kitchen or a farming area or a medicinal area or whatever, those have a benefit. But the benefit of most of these places is actually identical. The people like it. Now, whether you care or not is up to you, but people liking things and liking things more means they generate more hearts. Hearts are, of course, levels in the main thing, but they also serve as currency later on. So when you need, 10,000 hearts to buy something, well, there's your benefit. Nevertheless, honestly, the main reason to do this is just for fun. It's a building game you're building. Anyways, I've heard tell of a curious tribe that once called this island home, who were capable of turning spoiled soil into clean and fertile earth. But I know not what became of them. Still, we can think more about that later. For now, have another sample from my beard's bounty. Thanks. See, now I'm debating layout. I don't want to do this place. Yeah, no, I noticed. It's, maybe? No. Okay, now you're confusing me, Crazy Norse. Time to kill Crazy Norse. Stab! Alright, Crazy Norse is dead. Whew, okay, we're good, we're good. Damn it, Crazy Norse. I mean, that would make a lot of sense, really. Lock that down for now. Just to get it out of my inventory. You're probably wondering why I'm just letting my inventory get so cramped. There's actually a specific reason for that, which I'll explain in a minute. I believe we can build chests right now, but we're not going to. I am correct. We can build chests, and we are super not doing that. Chests serve a function in this game, but ironically, it's not our inventory management. Again, we'll talk about that in a minute. For now, let's go advance a quest. Whoops. I'm using the wrong button. That's my fault. Inventory is... asterisk, Glitchfall. We harvested 15 whole cabbages. Back in my day, furrow-field cabbages were so plentiful we sent them to other islands. They were famous near and far for their delicious taste and succulent texture. Maybe one day we'll have that many cabbages. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Huh? Look at the day tree. The inventory is limited. It's just... Anyways, we did it. We completed the first task, and I think the day tree's already looking stronger. Not bad at all. Maybe I will finally have something truly worth destroying. Shall I burn it alive, or simply blast it into splinters? Come on, Minek, we're done for. I knew this whole thing was a big mistake. Please don't, Father. We did what you said, and the day tree got bigger. We can't stop now. Very true. If you wish to be spared my wrath, you will continue to look after this tree. I suggest you work these fields as though your lives depended on it. Confusing guy, but whatever. Pasture's a strange one. I can't quite work out where he's coming from, but at least he didn't destroy the Dea tree. All we need now is to find a way to grow a lot of wheat, and till 50 patches of soil. Well, as far as the wheat goes, there used to be a little mill east of the town. So, if you're paying attention... actually, yes, Yura. It was a nice feature to be able to be like, boop. You can see, I usually prefer sitting out here, but it is nice to be able to pop in when I want to do something precise, as I've done a few times already. If you're paying attention, you could have just gone off and roamed pretty early. In fact, I think with one exception, you could go ahead and just explore the entire island, like, as soon as you show up. But because the game gives you this non-stop cavalcade of quests, because this is an RPG, they can and will guide you and direct you in directions. So, if you've been paying attention, the quests haven't really been giving us any reason to leave the town until now. So, we have to go out, we have to go exploring. Yes, that's the exception I was thinking of, Chris North, pretty sure. And remember, we can't swim, so, because we're water soluble. We explore east. What's one of the first things we see? Like, literally put right in our path. Hello, human. Normally I like to give helpful hints to passers-by, but something has really cheesed me off right now, and I need to get it off my chest. There used to be the most wonderful granary down this way, absolutely filled to the brim with wheat. I used to sneak in to grab a bite to eat whenever I was feeling peckish, but now the whole place is completely swarming with monsters. It's far too dangerous for me to sneak a snack now. If you're heading that way, I'd be very careful if I were you. By the way, the fat rats on this island aren't like other monsters. We're always friendly. We try to help people whenever we can. If you run into any of us on our travels, don't be shy. Step right up and have a chat. Friendly NPCs, even though they're monsters. Oh. So this is like the easiest of the puzzles in the entire game. Done. But you'll notice how even if somehow you missed the puzzle that's just north of town, or I think it's north. South, excuse me, just south of town. This puzzle is, once again, placed directly in your path so you can see this is what the puzzles are. This is why I've already jotted down a positive for guidance and flow of exploration, if you're wondering. Also, Furfield Farm is, that is to say, the island is actually a lot bigger than it looks, which is funny because it's actually a lot smaller than it looks too, but we'll cover more of that as we explore. Nice windmill. Huge windmill. Look at that thing. Oh, look at that massive building. Do you reckon there's seeds in there? I mean, we'll show off some of the mini-bosses, although... Well, we'll get to it. There's something I want to show off. We'll do it, next, I think. Yeah. Yeah. So the first time my niece played this, she was having trouble with the platforming in here. I don't really blame her, but, So this is a good time to mention that this game has, usually... And the only reason I say usually is I feel like there's an exception somewhere, but unless there's an exception I'm not thinking of, this game has 100% recycling. This is actually really important for build games. Believe it or not, a lot of build games get this particular detail wrong. You place something, oops, I placed it in the wrong spot, I have to go reclaim it, I only get a fraction of the materials back. That sucks. It's generally, in my opinion, more preferable when a game gives you 100% recycling, which means you drop an item, whoops, no problem, I'll pick the item up again. That's it. That's what I mean by 100% recycling. If I place a block, I can then pick the block back up again. Lots of holes here. How many of you get to some of these little ruined areas and then just harvest, like, the whole ruin? Now, I am actually not one of those people. But, I know several people who play this game, and they'll find, for example, the windmill, and they'll just run around taking all the fences, and all the lumber, and everything. I'm actually gonna get these out of my inventory right now for no reason, and honestly, ditto. There we go. Ugh. First I get attacked by monsters, then my weapon breaks clean in half. I can't even. There's totally an anvil, like, right there, but I would just die if I actually make something. Ugh. If only someone would offer me a totally sick weapon, like a cypress stick or something for these useless wheat seeds I found. You can flatten most of it. The overwhelm, like, you see that mountain there? You can flatten that mountain. It's gonna take a minute, but you can do it. OMG! This cypress stick is the goat. Who are you, and where'd you get this weapon? You made it? No way! Wait, did you say you're a builder too? Oh, that's just too much. You're crazy. Well, crazy or not, I owe you one. And now I've got this weapon that works again. I can do like the Children of Argon said and destroy this village. Hold up. I'm getting some, like, seriously sketchy vibes. Yes, Blade Travel, you can. So there's the worst enemy in the game. Oh no, not more of them. This place is, like, right on top of an ant's nest. I clobbered so many of them on the way here, my sword literally broke. Like, literally. Can you guys get pitch a hand with this one? If we all pitch in, we'll slay these ants in no time. So this is actually still a tutorial. It's just, you know, we're out of the intro, so it's not a super tutorial. Point being, this is a tutorial on how to give weapons and tools to NPCs and how to do mass combat. I'm just gonna back off and let them handle that for a bit, because they're much better at combat than I am at this point. They are more than handling this. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, wait. I've got a new recipe.
Yay!
A sword. Huh? Hey, Ronald, did you just invent a new weapon? Did you get an idea from watching me fight? That's great! I'm gonna keep fighting him. I can't wait to see what kind of wild weapon you'll dream of next. If you do come up with any new recipes, you might be better off using an anvil to whip them up than a normal workbench. Oh, thanks. Oh god, Malroth, help! Help me, Malroth. You're my only hope. My one true friend I would never betray. Yay. Oh, that was so lit. We totally crushed those ants like ants. And I wouldn't have done it without this sweet, sweet cypress stick. I'm so hyped right now. I feel like I'm bursting with excitement. So anyways, you said you were a builder, right? What's up with that? Are you like doing in a place like this? Get out of town. You're looking for wheat seeds so you can rebuild Furrowfield Farm? And you're totally gonna get some like divine retribution for all this. The Master of Destruction will totally smite you. Still, you defo seem to have a knack for this old building deal. The cypress stick you gave me is legit. Maybe building isn't that bad after all. Here, take these. They're the seeds I promised to trade for the stick. Better late than never, right? Do. I need to jot down a plus for tutorialization. Damn it, Crazy Norse. My name's Brittany. I'm like a wicked strong soldier. Let's head back to this farm of yours. I want to see what those wheat seeds grow into. So, like, where's the floor blocks you're talking about? Because I think I know what you're on about. But wait, we didn't... Oh, you mean those. Yeah, okay. And we can't build those? I honestly don't remember. Still, I just had a random idea with the floor blocks, and I kind of want to do something with this. Oh, that's a pit. I think Yura's lying to me. Why would you lie to me, Yura? Why? I think I'll come back to this, actually. Dang it. Yeah. I mentioned teleporting. Yeah, I think I've already given the fast travel 2 pluses, and I totally stand by them. So yes, this means someone's joining the party, so she's a soldier. So this is when we get introduced to the idea of classes. I actually already referenced this. Every NPC in the game has a different class. Each class has their own things that they can do, and things that they're better at. So like, anybody can dig to plow soil, for example, but farmers are actually going to be better at it. It's just a random example. Not everyone can fight, though. Only certain people can fight, and those are the ones you should give weapons. And only certain people can cook, and only certain people can... You get the idea. So, eventually... Sorry, J. Palmer. Eventually, you want to have your own little spread of classes, and... But you get the idea. Bold words indeed. Will you still be so brave when the Master of Destruction shatters your arms and armor into 1,000 pieces? Oh god, it's a stuffy-robed weirdo. Yay. Yeah, I think Yura just got bored. This game sucks, honestly. Don't you agree, Dive? This game sucks! There you go. Thank you. Thank you for that hot take, Dive. You did it! You found the wheat seeds! Yay! Back with the children of Hark. Hargon's teachings took root in Furrowfield. The people gave up building. They threw down their tools and let their field lie fallow. But if you bring people back and get them fired up about building, we could still turn things around. Not a bad idea. We might find some willing workers to take back our own island, too. Speaking of all the new things you've been finding, aren't you running out of space? I've been trying my hand at a bit of building myself. I made you something to put all your tools and materials in. It's a bag. With that bag, you can collect as many materials as you like. You'll never need to worry about leaving anything behind again. Alright. Wheat seeds. So now we have a bag, which has, oh god, let's do a little math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 10. What's 60 times 7? 720? No, 420, I think. Right? Yeah, 420. So that's our inventory space, is 420 different items. Notice the way I say that, because items, if you look at my inventory, we've got a stack of 351. Any given individual item or slot can stack up to 999. Yeah. So this is why I wasn't bothering with chests yet. There are benefits to chests. We'll talk about those later. So we've got a sort. Let's just give an inventory positive right now. I guess this is under interface. This is actually, I'm not joking, one of the better inventory management systems I've seen in an RPG. Let me use a direct example. You remember Divinity Original Sin 2? A game I love and have rated very highly. One of the biggest negatives of that game was the freaking inventory system. Oh, and also, yes, if your inventory is full, you can still loot stuff. It just immediately goes into your bag. Also, you can access your bag anywhere. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and give this a triple positive. I know, Crazy Norris. But yeah, no, so, yeah, that's definitely triple positive. Okay, so, I gotta remember my buttons here really quick. It's like that. Yep, okay. Let's start just doing some things here. Let's just honestly do it. Oh yeah, you can craft from your bag too, by the way. So it doesn't matter where the item is. Here, I'll just demonstrate that really quick. See? All that stuff's in my bag can still craft from it. Seriously, this is an awesome inventory system. Other games, take note. Okay. Yo, runner. Nice work planting those wheat seeds I gave you. Now we got ourselves a sweet little wheat field. But it's like way too small, you know? There's definitely not enough good soil around. That's true, I may be the finest farmer in Furrowfield, but even I can't conjure clean soil out of thin air. Well, I've heard of this hot goss about a Wiggly who lives somewhere near here. He's part of this, like, tribe that can clean up spoiled soil. The children of Hargon are like, I don't think so, mate. So he's laying low in this burrow. I said that wrong. I don't think so, mate. There we go. You're saying there's a giant worm out there who can solve our soil problems? That sounds almost too good to be true. Yeah, he's actually my favorite NPC on this island. Wiggly. But before... Let me think. Yeah, okay, sorry. There's a specific point at which I'm probably going to stop and do a little building. I think I'm going to wait until we get to that point. I think I'm going to do that. One of the games that was suggested for a theater back when we were doing theaters was this one. I'm not sure how that would go. What brings humans scurrying all the way out here? Seeking the Naviglobe, are you? Well, here it is. This beautiful orb right behind me. The instant you lay your hand upon it, you'll have the power to warp back here whenever you like. Open your map up with M and blah, blah, blah. The island's bigger than you think, so... Yeah, okay, so fast travel. So, back in the first game, you could place your own Naviglobes, but you could only have, like, what was it, one or two per area, per island. Here, there's lots of them. Also, did you notice this? Because of course you guys. There's little indicators. All right, hang on. Come on. There we go. There's little indicators. Like, what's this? Are you gonna let me... whatever. There's indicators that there's stuff there. And there's a lot of little fun, optional little stuff you can go explore. And that's awesome. That's it. I just wanted to mention that. You'll also notice, once again, that the quest led us towards something. What business is a ratty-looking human like you have with me? Oh, you're looking for someone who can clean dirt? I've got no idea how you'd even go about it. Maybe the mud-munching monster to the east would know. If you want to meet him, you'll have to be quick. I saw a gang from the Children of Hargon running over there with vicious grins on their faces not too long ago. Oh, and before I forget, have you already spoken to my fine friend here already? I suggest you see what he has to say, because we're a tutorial. Okay. Either what I'm trying to say is that the fast travel system in 2 is better than the fast travel system in 1. Granted, that's not a high bar, but it's still true. Look at all this sand over here. Oh no! What do you reckon's going on here? We finally found you, spineless worm. You know, that's less of an insult in this case than normal. We heard you've been making clean earth, and now you know what the penalty for making things is around here. Well, I ain't done nothing wrong. Ain't my fault soul comes out cleaner than goes in, ain't it? If you truly believed in our cause, you'd immediately destroy anything you made. But you didn't. And now you must be punished accordingly. What do you think you're doing? Oh, sorry, I just realized what kind of NPC this is. What do you think you're doing here, humans? Can't you see we're hard-work purging dissidents here? Well, don't just stand there, help us. Unless you oppose the children of Hargon, in which case we'd be more than happy to purge you too. Oh, crimey, you have to help me, humans, please. Looks like I've got to pick a side. What do you think? Should we side with the monsters or the monster? That you even have to think about it as proof you haven't a faithful bone in your body. The children of Hargon do not tolerate such fair-weather followers. Precisely. You shall meet the same grisly fate as... Oh my god. As this long-limbed sinner. Come on, guys. Let's get them. I'm not sure there is such a thing as a fast travel system that is a fast travel system that would deserve a negative. We have given negatives to game for traversal, where just getting from point A to point B sucks, but that's different, right? So, I don't think so, Von Falkenstein. I'd have to think about it, though. Get on. He certainly made short work of this old beast who's harassing me. Thank you kindly. But who are you anyway? What are you doing? Okay. In interests of total honesty, I can't believe I'm doing this. I have to give this game a story negative. And I have to. I have to. And the reason why is it's localized too well. Dive? Dive! I'm not really joking, by the way. This game is so well localized, in some cases, it's hard to read. In what way? I mean, the thing on the screen is a perfect example of what I'm talking about, and this is a mild example of it. But ooh are E anyway. What are E doing all the way out here? You can kind of understand what he's saying, but unless you say it right, what are ye anyway? What are you doing all the way out here? Right? See, that's funny you say that, Crazy Norse, because I know several native English speakers who have had issues reading Dragon Quest localization. So, we're probably going to give every Dragon Quest game that doesn't have voice acting, so everyone but 11, at least the one negative for some of these issues, because in some cases, it is a little bit hard to understand. I remember in, I think it's 4, the Russian woman, there are several lines of dialogue that the Russian people have, which is just... Hang on, give me a second. It would not be a negative if it was voice acted, because there would be no problems understanding it. And I know that... Oh, sorry, 8 also has voice acting. So 8 wouldn't get a negative, and 11 wouldn't get a negative. Anyways. Builder, you say? You're rebuilding the old form, data and all. And you're looking for something you can conjure up the earth out of nothing. Oh, since the big old tree was back, so I did. I've been wriggling all over the place looking for it, only to have me life saved by the very bay of planting it. Oh, it must be fate. I'm a wiggly, you say. We're an ancient Troy, but the power to purify the earth, or at least we was. I'm the only one of us left now. This gross, slimy thing is going to clean up the soil. I can't wait to see everyone's faces when we come back with a giant worm in tow. Yeah, fun fact. I forget the exact specifics right now, but Dragon Quest VIII initially had voice acting only in English. In other words, it was something they added for the English version, and it was like, oh, that's kind of awesome. And it sort of started the trend of the... flavor? Accents? This stuff, right? Because we had Cold Blimey in 8. And if I'm not mistaken, all of that was added for the English version. They all just spoke in regular tones and accents in the Japanese version. So, I actually don't know Crazy Norse. Again, I don't remember all the specifics, so I shouldn't speak too much of it right now until I've researched it. But I remember it being a thing, and it being one of the reasons that the Dragon Quest series started really taking off in the West. I mentioned that. Hang on. Can I just rant for 1 second? The Dragon Quest series has been one of those bonkers good, well-selling games in Japan for forever, but especially since 3, right? We've talked about this because we've already covered 1, 2, and 3 before. But it never really was very well-selling in the West until 8. 8 was a smash success, and then every Dragon Quest game that's come out here has sold very well, including 11, and the one you're looking at right now, by the way. The reason I bring all this up is because it has irritated me for years how much several people in Japan, especially at Square, have said, oh, the West doesn't like Dragon Quest games. And the reasoning for saying that is because it doesn't sell as well here as it sold over there. Not that it sells badly, not that it doesn't sell. In fact, and if you were paying attention, I already said this, not that it doesn't sell very well, just that it doesn't sell as well. So every now and again, I just want to smack one of those people. It's like, there's a reason it took forever for us to get the proper remake of Dragon Quest VII on the 3DS localized over here, for example, and it wasn't just the massive amount of dialogue. Isn't that the case with most JRPGs? Final Fantasy sells better here than there, and that's been true for a while. That's been true pretty much since 4. So, anyways. Yeah, it's just exactly Prisoners. See, that's not... Name's Wrigley, by the way. If we could get back to your farm before any of the children are going to turn up, that'd be lovely. It wasn't until 7 that FF caught on to the point of becoming a global phenomenon and entering into popular consciousness. But no, Final Fantasy II on the SNES and Final Fantasy III on the SNES both sold quite well. This is something I've talked about several times because Once again, it irritates me how much this information was misreported to the developers. I'll never forget this. There was an interview, I think it was actually of oh god, I can't think of his name, of one of the main developers of the old Final Fantasies. And he was talking about how he was told FF6 sold really poorly. And he was very disappointed because most of the developers think of FF6 as like the golden child, right? The one they really poured their heart and soul into. And so I was like, damn, that sucks that, that amazing game sold really badly. And it's like, that's a literal lie. Even if you just count the original SNES sales, it's still a lie. It was a straight up lie. Anyways, sorry. Come on! Truth be told, I do not know Jay Palmer. Oh, heck of a form you got here. Maybe a bit small, but the right bits in place for you, Croft. Even the day tray. Leave an heck, it's a monster! Yeah, the first Final Fantasy that Europe got was Mystic Quest. Dribbling Drackies, you're right. We're just under attack from a vicious Wiggly. Well, don't just stand there, Malroth. Beat it to it within an inch of his life. That will not be necessary. Unless I am mistaken, this Wiggly is a descendant of the tribe that kept the soil of Furrowfield clean and healthy for generations. Yeah, worms are awesome, by the way. I don't know Trihexia. I don't know. I have literally spent years of my life studying the behind-the-scenes of the Final Fantasy series, and I don't know why they lied about the FF6 sales numbers. And it is specifically 6. Okay, I have a theory, but I have very little information about why this... Like, I don't have anything to really back this. This is just me trying to make sense of a stupid decision, okay? My theory is that Square was trying to justify moving away from the typical Final Fantasy format and formula and switching over to Sony instead of Nintendo. So, FF6 didn't sell well, and so we can't stick with the N64, and we can't stick with, the typical format. We need to do FF7 on the PlayStation. That'll be a bestseller. That's the best speculation I got, but I really have no evidence to back that up. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, yeah, we all know the reason they went with the PlayStation was literally for the CGI cutscenes, which is funny when you think about it. But yeah, someone earlier mentioned FF7 is the first FF that went mainstream, but it was not the first FF that sold well. Not by a long shot. When did I pick up these bones? Oh god, so you know how you can get all, like, the evil stuff? Like, you can get bones, and you can get cursed objects, and all that stuff. Well, my niece picked up all that stuff and decorated her whole city with it, because apparently that's just her aesthetic. No judgment, I just find it amusing. Oh yeah, let's, Right on, runner. Pretty dope having a Wiggly in the squad. We can totally get all the good dirt we need. Funny now that slimy simpleton was so eager to help us out, huh? Seems like there's something about you that monsters really go for. Yeah, it's called being a decent person. Prayers are answered. Our soil shortage is solved, and it's all thanks to Brittany. Nah, I was just passing on some rumor I heard. It was Runner who did the legwork. Props to Wrigley, too, for dropping everything and coming here to bail us out. Nobody knows why, but on Furrowfield, the Wigglies, the Bodkins, and the Rats have always been kind to us humans. Hey, maybe if you ask around on your travels, you might find out. Ironically, ditto von Falkenstein. I'm pretty sure I've told that story before, but I actually owned FF7 before I rented a PlayStation. Because I didn't own a PlayStation for quite a while, not until after college. Wait, just Custodians of the soil here on Forfield since forever. It's always been our job to keep the dirt in good nick. If the children have all gone off in my case, I get started again. Can't wait to see the old place overflowing with life, green from beach to bluff. Suppose I can start by turning some of this old slime into some nice clean earth, shouldn't I? Oh yes, Wrigley, you know already how long I've waited for this. I'm so excited to see you sanitize the soil. Oh my god, that sentence. I'm so excited to see you sanitize the soil. Do they pay for alliteration in this? Righto, but how many which bits to clean up? Just clean everything. Just clean everything. But yes, no, scarecrows. So later on, we'll actually have to go out of our way to craft a custom thing in order to do it, but for now... Scarecrows. Scarecrows clean the soil. Now, I referenced this earlier. This is what my niece did. She just planted scarecrows across the whole base to turn all the soil into dirt. Yeah, exactly, Crazy Nurse. Now that we have access to the ability to make freaking soil, now I'm tempted to go ahead and start terraforming myself, because I want all this slime gone. I want it gone. I want its kids gone. I want its dog gone. I want its favorite plush animal gone. There you go, runner. Stinky sludge is all gone. Nothing but fine, fertile earth for your fields from now on. Hey! Can't believe it. Look at all this healthy earth. Thank you, Wrigley. I'm so happy. I've never seen so much lovely, soft soil in my life. Ever since the spoil spores appeared, I thought our island was doomed. Even when we found clean soil, everything we planted in it just withered and died. What's wrong with you lot? Crying over a bit of dirt. We spent so long scraping together a few patches of arable earth, and now we've got more than we know what to do with. I'm as happy now as I've ever been. Oh, I'm happy too. Happy to help, that is. I'd be more than happy to clean up the soil anywhere you plonk down the scarecrows. Hey, I found some stuff in my beard. Thanks. Do you notice the auto-sorting there, by the way? My stack of cabbage seeds is in my bag, so when I picked those up, even though I have space in my inventory, it went into the bag. But then, whoops. Didn't mean to hit that button. But, because I didn't have any wheat seeds on me, those went into my main inventory. God, I love this inventory system so damn much. Wait, no, come back, come back. Oh, Jesus. Reaper, 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 Reaper. Smack it with the door. What? Okay. Wrigley is actually knocked out right now. So NPCs, when they're knocked out, they go to 0 health, and then they slowly regen, but can't do anything while they're regenning. So they don't permanently die, but they lose operational ability for a while, and it is actually possible to lose battle encounters if you lose everybody, because then they'll show up and they'll start wrecking your stuff. And that's awful. I mean, you heard creepers? Well, this isn't that bad, but it's the same concept. Okay, so everything's cool. I thought between you, a builder, and me, the finest farmer, we had the perfect duo. But now Wrigley, we've got the perfect trio. Now we can make as many fields as we want, but that won't help us if we don't have the seeds. Freddy told me about the ruins of an old farm to the northwest. Cool, thank you. Okay. Let me build in my head for a second, because I want to kind of map this out. Give me a sec. Let me think about this. Yeah, boss fights are... honestly, the fact that they repair damage from a boss fight is a plus by itself. Because it's great design, first of all. But second of all, boss fights are so dynamic. And part of the reason they are is because the game lets them be that dynamic. Because it doesn't matter what they do to the terrain, really. Because it'll be repaired afterwards, right? So you can set up terrain for a boss fight, and that's awesome. And then it'll be restored after the boss fight, which is even more awesome. But we'll get there when we get there. Okay, so what I want... My niece did that. In fact, she put most of her farming up on the second story. I think I'm not going to be too ambitious with Furrowfield. I could be. There's a lot you could do with this place. But I think I want that. Like that. And then I'll make that. That's district. And then I'll put that over there. I am going to flatten it. I've always wanted to, and why not, right? Oh yeah, by the way, fun thing. You might think, oh my god, all those hearts. It's so irritating having to pick up all those hearts. There, I just looted every heart in the map. Like, it's also a way to gather the NPCs together in order to be able to take care of them. Like if you need to give people weapons, for example. Have I mentioned that one of the reasons I love this game so much is because it oozes, no pun intended, quality of life features. You know me. You know me. A game... I think games with story are... I don't want to say essential, but you know what I mean. Like a game has to have a story for me to be interested and invested in it. But if the game is irritating to play, then it doesn't really matter how good the story is, because I'll always be frustrated and irritated playing it, right? So, a game that just has this many quality of life features. It's like... Yeah, it's the Final Fantasy Tactics thing. Final Fantasy Tactics has a fantastic story. Probably one of the best Final Fantasy stories ever, at the least in the top 3. But god, I hate playing that goddamn game. I hate playing it. I'm actually dreading reviewing that game. Not only because people are going to whine because I'm going to bash one of their beloved classics, but because it's going to suck. It's going to suck to play. The story axis is going to stop. Anyways, so... Top FF stories other than Tactics? 14 and 6. I know that sounds just, you know, you're like, oh, you're dumb, but no. FF6 has a very, very good story. I have re-examined and done multiple, deliberately trying to be as negative as I can, critical as I can, reviews of FF6. FF6's story stomps. FF12's story is a weird one, because FF12's story is really, really good, and then it's okay, and then it's bad, and then it's got good world building, and it's got good characters, but then the plot, just FF12's plot does this, you know? It starts off at its strongest point, literally. Like the beginning, the opening, the initial conflict, the initial assault is awesome. And the further into it you go, the worse the plot gets. And some of the characters are just whatever. In fact, honestly, most of the party is kind of whatever. Bosch is cool, but has no character movement. He's just kind of there. We all know the problems with Vaughn. Penelo is a piece of cardboard. The only ones who actually really do anything are Balthier, who carries it mostly but just by sheer weight of his charisma, and Ash, who's the only party member who has a real character arc. And you get my point. FF12 kind of stumbles in several ways in its story. So, yeah, no, there's some really cool stuff in FF12. But I wouldn't put it in the top 3. FF4? FF4's story is actually pretty problematic. In fact, the very first time we gave a negative for story sequencing was FF4. I left out who, Blade Terrell? Sorry, I didn't mean to leave out Chewbacca there. So other than Tactics and 6 and 14, the next highest story for an FF, for me, every other FF has asterisks to it. That's the problem. Every single other one has something wrong with it that just kind of holds it back, like 12, we just talked about. 10 is a good example. So yeah, 10, how about that wonderful dialogue or that amazing voice acting or how great of a character Tidus is? 10 is pretty strong on the story axis, but its story presentation honestly sucks. If I could just be very blunt about that. I didn't really appreciate FF10 until like the third time I played it because I was having such a hard time getting into the story that is there because the story presentation is kind of awful. In fact, a huge amount of the proper world building and background character building in FF10 is all fully optional stuff that you get for just randomly talking to NPCs in town, which is valid. But think about how much of the quality is being pushed over to the side there, right? In favor of the cutscenes, which suck. I'm just going to say that as nicely as I can. So FF12 is a strong story, asterisk. FF10 is a strong story, asterisk. FF7 is a strong story, asterisk. FF9 is a strong story, asterisk. So one of those, I would say, would be the next bundle of games when it comes to story-wise, because every single one of them has when it comes to it. If you put a gun to my head, I'd probably say 9. Yeah, FF9. You read the Ultimania, right? I've said for years that I never really appreciated FF9's story until I read the Ultimania. But what I really find amusing, the localization, Walker, which is absolutely terrible. Also the fact that most of the party doesn't really have a lot of characterization, but it's primarily the localization. I've said for years that I didn't appreciate FF9 until I went through the Ultimania. What I really love about that is I know people personally who listed FF9 as their favorite FF, and were like, no, you don't need the Ultimania. And then I shared with them the information from the Ultimania, and their reaction was universally, oh, that makes so much more sense now. Not a good sign. Okay, sorry, so... Hello, 1.21 gigawatts. Excuse me, gigawatts, gotta say that right. I mean, it wasn't even released in English, J. Palmer. But if a game requires a book in order for you to really get what's going on, something has screwed up somewhere. Now we've got enough space for all 5 types of vegetables they used to grow in Furlfield Farm. Before the Dia tree withered and died, they used to grow all sorts of different crops here and hold a festival when they brought in the harvest. Goodness, look at the Dia tree! Then that is similarly not good, Blake Jamal. The Dia tree's grown a little bigger, and it feels a lot more powerful, too. Doing these tasks really is doing the trick, isn't it? Standing before something so precious, I can barely contain the urge to destroy it utterly. Oh no, the pastor's acting all funny again. Is he really going to blow it up this time? Now, hang on. When you first saw the tree, you said you had a change of heart. What was that all about? I'm not actually sure, Darkrai. Silence! I will not stand by and listen to your idle chatter when you have so much more still to do. Stop wasting time. Get back to work. Sure thing, Pastor. I should say Pastor. Oh yeah, also, little quality of life feature. You notice how quests show up on the minimap? No matter how far away they are. See you around, Walker. Have a good one. So we know there's a quest that way, even if it's like a billion miles that way. It doesn't matter, because it'll always show up on the minimap the moment it's unlocked. In fact, have I written down the minimap as a positive yet? No, I have not. Hello, Evo. Okay. So... I am enjoying myself a great deal. Thank you for asking. let's show off something. So, Darker actually mentioned this earlier. So as you can see, it goes down, looks like 3? Yeah, 1, 2, 3. 3 layers deep when you go ahead and make soil like that. Yep. Thank you, Rex. I'm about to bulldoze it. Oh yeah, I mentioned 100% recovery. That also counts for seeds. So, you know, if there's a crop that has sprung, I can reclaim the seed when I do this. Alright. I don't know, Crazy Nurse, do you think it'd be worth waiting for the first hammer upgrade to really level this place? Because I am going to level it. I'm just going to flatten it. I even know what I want to do with it. Hey, Justin. Hope today is treating you well. I'll get some of the outside edges while I think about this. Exactly, Von Falkenstein. Like I said, 100% recycling. Good feature. See, that's what I'm thinking, Darkrai. Because this is not that fast, and, well, I mean, here's luck. I also just got offset there a little bit. How do I think FF6's story compares to Chrono Trigger? I know, Crazy Norse. I think they're both really good in completely different ways. FF6 is much more story-focused. Did I seriously just say that? FF6 is much more character-focused. Jesus Christ, Laura, wake up. Sorry, I'm tired as hell. I need to stop going to bed so late. FF6 is much more character-focused. While there are certainly character moments in Chrono Trigger, they just don't get the same kind of focus that they do in FF6. Both games have a very strong emphasis on the villain. Lavos and Kefka are some of my favorite villains of all time for a frickin' reason. Chrono Trigger arguably has a stronger plot because it has a tighter plot, but at the same time, FF6 has more impacting moments. And so forth and so on, right? Both games kind of dodge in and out of it, to the point where I would honestly say that Chrono Trigger and FF6 have, functionally, the same overall quality of story, just in different expressions. Yes, Dive is keeping this nice and warm here. Thank you, Dive. It is not Evo. It is literally the... Oh, yeah! Thank you for reminding me, Evo. So you're probably wondering, Lore, why are you so tired? Well, it's literally the HOA's fault.
Yep.
So, on the off chance some of you live in countries that are not the United States, an HOA stands for Homeowners Association. It refers to a civilian governmental body that manages what you are allowed to do in terms of a particular neighborhood. HOAs can go directly to hell. Now, as with most things, there are purposes behind an HOA, and there are things that are not terrible about HOAs, blah, 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 blah. But in reality land, the overwhelming majority of HOAs suck, okay? I remember that, Darkrai. Different system, but I remember that. Oh, hang on one second, let's start this. Yeah, the terribleness definitely outweighs the good, because HOAs are bad. Technically, yes, Loner, but the problem here is that, on the one hand, it makes perfect sense. If a neighborhood wants an HOA, then a neighborhood gets an HOA. And that makes a degree of sense, so, okay, sure. The problem with that is that if a neighborhood has an HOA, it's probably not going to get rid of one anytime soon. And most HOAs were established decades ago. Oh no! It's one of the reasons why new neighborhoods have such a tendency towards not establishing an HOA. It's because most of the existing HOAs have their roots in so deep and so thoroughly that you can't get rid of them anymore. Now, let's talk about why an HOA sucks, because it's actually kind of complicated. It boils down to this. An HOA can say, hey, do this or that with regards to your home. They can tell you what you can do with your gardening or your lawn, or how you can paint your house, or where you can place certain types of things, right? So, on the one hand, there's a degree of logic there. They're trying to maintain a degree of consistent quality with regards to the houses. Okay, no problem. No, I never noticed that there's a straw hat on the worm on this game that I've played 4 times before. Okay, I'm going. Oh, that's the funny part, Faxi, but let me get to that. Kidding, Fraglin. So HOAs, they can establish things. They can lock down on things that they honestly should. They can help to take care of certain things and maintain certain levels of quality. They can also pay for certain things. So, for example, I'll give you exact examples. My friend Gary's HOA, they handle trash collection, so that's all on the HOA. Where my friend Pax lives, his HOA deals with the lawn and dealing with all of the external stuff to the house. The HOA around here helps deal with the pool and maintaining the public services thereof, right? So, there we go. So, you can see that there are some tangible benefits from having an HOA. Now let's return back to reality land and explain why HOAs suck. First and most obvious reason. Most HOAs have to elect a president and an enforcer. Those people are usually people who have to spend time out of their daily lives running around managing the HOA. Just like with real-life managers, that is to say, like in businesses, for example, or in government, usually you get 3 general categories of people who want to do that. People who want to serve, to do, their public duty. People who want power, and people who want prestige. These latter 2 people should never have these positions. Guess which type of people tend to get these positions primarily? This is also made even worse by the fact that managing an HOA is actually essentially a part-time job. Which means what tends to happen a lot is you'll get a situation where, for example, one of the people at a household works and brings in money, and the other person, who is bored and has nothing to do in order to spend their time on, they will lobby to be voted in as the head of the HOA, and then will run the HOA. Now, if you don't understand why that's a problem, let me put it to you this way. You're at a grocery store. You're going through the line trying to get in. What's your objective? Real question. Please answer this. You're at the grocery store. You're in the line checking out. What is your objective? I'm seeing several people giving the answers I was expecting. Your objective is to get in and out as fast as possible. To get through the checkout, and to be done with it, and to go home. Or wherever your next destination is, right? However, have you ever seen old people? Or bored people, usually housewives, at least in the States, who that is not their objective. Their objective is to waste time. Their objective is to have something to do, because they have nothing to do. Have you ever seen an old woman, for example, just sitting there, slowly and meticulously pulling out coupons, and then rummaging around in their purse because they swear they've got an extra nickel? Just give them a minute. Because they're not in a hurry. Now, I'm not really trying to be derogatory here. If we're being honest, the problem here is that these people don't have anything better to do with their lives. And not to get preachy for a second, but I think video games might be a good solution for this long term. No, really. But a lot of these people will sit there because they just have a different objective. They're not interested in getting the job done. They're interested in just spending their time doing something. Now, let's rewind back to HOAs. A lot of the people who are either bored or have nothing to do or are retired, sorry for being repetitive there, their objective is not to run the HOA properly. It's to have something to do. This is why you get the cliche, which is true, of the person driving around the neighborhood looking for any infringement that they can. It's not because they're greedy, really. because the amount of money HOAs get out of that isn't really worth it. Not unless they get really, really good about that. Instead, they're spending their time doing something. So, that's problem number one with HOAs. They're run by people who have, let's say this as nicely as we can, the wrong objectives. Problem number two. HOAs are a civilian interaction. So let me try to explain this really briefly here. So in the United States, governmental bodies have regulations that apply to them. Now I know that sounds like a duh, but it's important because those regulations, even though we have a disgustingly corrupt and awful government, nevertheless do actually limit it. We could have a much, much worse government if those regulations did not exist and if we did not enforce them. So, your city councilman, for example, can't just randomly decide to bulldoze your house and build a pool there for himself and his mistress because there are things that prevent him from doing that. We still have crap happening, but the crap is limited by virtue of the fact that it's a regulated body. Make sense? HOAs are unregulated bodies. They are legally treated as a contract between individuals, which, for various reasons in the United States, is something that is deregulated. So, for example, I can't have, I can't be like, oh, sis, you can't do such and such with your house because of the fact that it's whatever. That's considered a civilian dispute, is what that is. So we can't actually go into the idea of having regulations and having limitations and having legal restrictions on that because it's a civilian thing. Make sense? But the problem is HOAs, which function as a city-level government, are similarly treated as deregulated bodies. So there's no limit, really, on what HOAs can do unless they are challenged on the matter, because anything can be taken to court for any reason. That's how the court system works. So, I'm going to give you a direct example. At one point in time, someone, I'm just going to summarize the story a little bit, set up a house. New shingles, new paint job, 20 grand, $20,000 job. HOA said, oh yeah, you did it the wrong color, you're going to have to do it again. So they said no, took them to court over that, and won, which they can do. But you could see how this is a problem. Because it's one of the... Sorry, the chirping was bothering me. It's one of the biggest reasons why HOAs tend to be a problem. What they can get away with depends entirely on what people are willing to let them get away with and what's allowed within the county. And the county limitation is all over the place because there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of counties which all have very different rules and regulations. There are some counties where HOAs can decide what to do with your lawn or what to do with everything that's outside of your house, which can include stuff on your walls, like what Ross just mentioned with regards to window unit ACs. There are some HOAs that can foreclose your house on you under certain circumstances. And this is a real thing that's actually happened, by the way. There's an HOA with not allowing you to set up a vegetable garden in the front. That's actually true here. So yeah, HOAs can suck a lemon. So let's get, oh yeah, solar panels. We actually had to put up solar panels on that side of the roof because the HOA wouldn't allow them to be visible from the street, which is that way. And that's why the garden is back there instead of up there where it arguably should be. Better soil, better location, better sunlight, but no. I wasn't even going to get into the racism, if that's okay, because let's just say this as absolutely bluntly as we can. A lot of HOAs, remember what I said, HOAs have been around for a while, and that's how HOAs tend to keep existing, is because they have the roots in. A lot of HOAs, which were established decades ago, are very racist, and we're just going to say that and move on. We're just going to say that. Aesthetics. Only poor people have gardens, Eva. So, yeah, no kidding, Blade Travell. So, the reason for talking about all of it, I just wanted to explain why HOAs suck, because I know that several of you live in countries that either don't have HOAs or have HOAs that do not exist like this. So that's why HOAs suck. Now, the HOA that we have right now is actually not that bad. In fact, it's one of the better ones I've ever encountered. That's not a joke. Last night, they gave us certified mail 4 times, 4 certified letters, notifying us of a violation of the HOA. Very serious, very deadly. Now, I want to explain this, okay? Because there's 2 sentences explaining the violation at the top of the page, and then a picture, a very unclear picture, taken from someone out. You could literally tell they were leaning out their window, because that's all they do is they drive around looking for infractions, because they're bored. We talked about this. And then the entire rest of the page was 4 paragraphs worth of explaining, like, the legalese. Here's the fee you're going to be applied. Here's how the fee can be applied. Here's when the fee starts being applied. If you decide to contest this, here's how you can contest this. If you decide to go with a lawyer, here's how the lawyer fees are going to work out, and blah, 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 blah. Just 4 paragraphs of legalese bullcrap all about how to contest the fine. But just 2 sentences explaining what the actual problem was. Now, can anyone in chat guess what the infraction was? I'm going to spoil this. No, you can't. Whatever you're thinking of is, you're not going to get it. But please guess. I would very much love to hear if somebody actually figures this out. While you're guessing, I want to say that the reason I brought all of this up is because it's why I'm tired. I spent a little over an hour last night, digging through the dirt. I suppose that gives away part of what it was, in order to fix it. I just got a quest to make a stone sword. I guess I'll finally make a stone sword. I could probably make 2, actually. Nah, I'll just keep with 1. I'll just stick with 1. Yeah, they're called clubs, Evo. Nobody's gotten it yet. Not that I'm surprised. I told you, nobody's getting it. So as I mentioned, you can arm people. It does actually increase their damage output and general combat effectiveness. Back in the day, I would have been hyped for all the things I could smash with this sword, but I don't really believe in the children and their Master of Destruction anymore. Master of Destruction? What's that supposed to be? Does he have a name? How am I supposed to know? High key. I bet the only person who knows his name is Almighty Hargon himself. Listen to me, Almighty. I'm done with him. Let's start with the Children of Runner instead. Yes, the Children of Runner. Because apparently we're playing Crusader Kings 3 again. Yeah, I'll go and give the stick to him. Or not, because he's asleep. That's whatever. So, some of you may or may not know that I've spent a lot of time and work on the landscaping of this house over the years. One of the things we did was we set up out up front. So, front yard, right? We built a brick wall that kind of goes around, and it's a hill that goes down. So the brick wall starts at 1 deep, and then goes 2 deep, and then goes 3 deep. You get it, right? So the brick wall is actually flat out all the way down, and then that's where we keep, like, all the extra flowers and plants and blah, 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 blah. So cool stuff like that, right? A little bit of grass had started growing into the brick wall. They were going to fine us $25 a day for a little bit of grass that had started growing in between the bricks. I told you you weren't going to get it. So what we had to do was we pulled up all those bricks, the offending bricks, actually got the tiller out, which is one of those, it's hard to explain. If you know what a tiller is, you know what a tiller is. And just re-tilled the whole section, ripped out all the roots, and ripped out all of the offending dirt, and then replanted those bricks. I was actually really, honestly angry. My sister picked up on it because I wasn't talking. I wasn't saying anything. And you know me, I get really quiet when I get actually angry. I was livid that they were trying to pull this kind of bullcrap. That's why I was up late, and that's why I had trouble sleeping last night. Because I burnt an hour of my life doing that I wasn't expecting to do. By the way, in case you don't feel like doing the math, if you decided to let that run, that's $750, roughly, a month, in fees. And that's one of those little things that's hard to explain because it shouldn't make sense the way it does, but it totally does. One of the biggest ways that scumbags try to rip money out of poor people is fees. There are actual examples of people who have had a relatively small fine, which they have spent hundreds or thousands of dollars paying off because of fees. What, oh, looks like I didn't kill the, or start, excuse me, the question block. Hang on. That's loud. Oh, that's why. I see what happened. Hang on. Somebody actually killed the bot earlier. Who did it? Who murdered the bot? Yeah, exactly. Fees actually generate fees, is the way it works. If you don't pay it on time, there's a fee. If you don't pay it in a certain way, there's a fee. If you pay it, but then there's the fee for the processing, and there's usually some kind of like overhead fee on top of that. And it literally propagates. Banks, most people know about banks because banks tend to pull this same kind of thing. But, and this is going to sound strange, banks don't really lean into this that heavily because they don't have to. Banks make plenty of money other ways. No, it's the little small-time jackass criminals who will do things that will try to fee you to death. Like unregistered moneylenders, for example, or HOAs. How do HOAs enforce you paying the fee? Debt collection is something I don't want to talk about because it's an entire industry. Actually, it's more than one entire industry. Let's just say that we are at a point where people regularly trade debt and leave it at that. Oh, also, not all those debts are valid. That is true, Von Falkenstein. I don't know if I'd call it the worst thing about HOAs. I'd say the foreclosure thing is the worst thing about HOAs. But that is true. Some cities, some counties, and some districts will deliberately encourage people to make HOAs so that they can hands off some of the managing of the suburbs. Hi, human. Are you looking for your friend? He's just over the other side of the hill, but he seems to have gone a little crazy. Last I checked, he was swinging his hoe around like a madman. That's funny, Crazy Horse. If you're not your friend, you might want to steer clear. You can always go and have a look, but don't blame me if he clocks you on the noggin with a piece of farming gear. Thanks. So, new icon. Let's eat some cabbage salad over here. The bottom line with enforcement in the States really boils down to this. Generally speaking, most of the time, HOAs get away with this stuff because people don't contest it. Because contesting stuff means court. And court means time, stress, and money. And that's all there is to that. There's your enforcement right there. Hello, human. I'm hungry as a church mouse. Seriously, I'm starving. All I have are wheat seeds, but I get really bloated when I eat wheat. I think I have an intolerance. Do you have any cabbages? 10 cabbages. Actually, I do literally have 10 cabbages. So these are little side quests you can do. Us rats and humans used to be one and the same. What, you don't know about it? Well, actually, now that you mention it, I don't remember much about it either. Thanks. That's the thing. No, HOAs are not within the Empire. Speaking honestly, everything that an HOA does can be handled by local government, and honestly probably should be. Even if an HOA existed, which is something I'll at least allow as a possibility, it would have to be a regulated body. And if it's a regulated body, then it's just another layer below cities. Right? Which is fine, relatively speaking. But at that point, like, I don't know. I suppose that's more of a question for the future, so we'll go ahead and go with maybe on the HOA question.
Yep.
I could bring the chest, but I don't like these chests. I'm gonna leave it. Those chests suck. Definite chests. Hi there, human. A high-minded, highbrow, high-class boy like you should have no problem at all with heights. Right? I know a couple of tricks that are perfect for someone like you. Skill for swiftly scurrying to the loftiest of spots. Sweet. Any adventurer worth his cheese knows how to climb. After all, you never know what you might find at the top of a mysterious hill. If you have a wall handy, you could put blocks against it to make a staircase. If not, you can build a tower by jumping straight up and putting a block under it before you land. Well, thanks for the tutorial. Correct buttons here. Seed of Life, which we're going to immediately use. Always use your seeds on your main character in any Dragon Quest game. Pro tip. Very well done. She did the tower method. Because of course she did. Ugh, no, I didn't, Darkrai. What is this fiendish farmyard still doing here? Don't worry, I'll have the whole blasted thing torn apart in no time. Eh? I don't know who you are, but if you're not going to help, I'd rather you leave me alone and let me destroy this place in peace. I beg your pardon? You'd heard there was an old farm around here and you were hoping you could find some seeds? Dragon Quest XI is the best Dragon Quest game runs. Well, I expect this is the farm you're looking for. Don't worry, I'll have it completely obliterated. As for the seeds, I have some, but I won't give them to you. There's no nobler goal in life than wreaking ruin, you know. I'm sure the Master of Destruction himself is watching me right now as I smash this place to smithereens. All I can say is, it's a small mercy this place doesn't have one of those accursed scarecrows. Those infernal poppets have some kind of dark power over me. With one glance at one and I can't resist tilling the soil around it. Confound my farmer's blood! Whatever you do, don't use that wooden workbench to build a scarecrow, and don't do it! Don't do it! No! No! Oh no. Did you really put the scarecrow right after I specifically told you not to? What is happening to me? Yeah, this is actually a fence tutorial. Fences are cool. Because if you noticed, farmland is really restricted in its size. It's just a space around the scarecrow. But if you fence it in, it can be a lot larger. It's only by your destructive grace the field was not enclosed by wood fencing. If it was fenced in... Okay, 4. I think Dragon Quest VII is the longest one. I could be wrong about that, though. Oh, there they are.
Yep.
It's been raining for a while, hasn't it? Yeah, what's funny is, I'm speaking of the 3DS version, which is much more streamlined. Like, much, much more streamlined. Also, just like rooms, fences can be all kinds of different shapes, in addition to sizes. You put the fence. Why would you do that? No, it's happening again. What? That might have been one of the Monster Hunter games on Wolfenstein. Couldn't help myself. I've plowed every inch of earth inside that accursed fence. You sly devil. I expect you've worked out how to do this. They're dangerous weapons. Oh, Master of Destruction, hear my prayer. Once again, I have sopped my brow with the sweat of constructive labor. I beg your forgiveness. One of my favorite little tidbits. Let's take this guy and turn him into a builder. Alright, Weird, if you got any seeds, hand them over. No funny business. We can do this the easy way or the fun way. Alright, here you go. Thanks. So, words. Grab these. I guess I don't really need them. I got tons, but eh.
Yep.
Waste not.
Yep.
Oh god, it's a Reaper. It's a Reaper. It's gonna kill me. I'm turbo dead. Time to run for my life. Actually, I can just warp. Well, I mean, we just showed that, which I'm pretty sure the tutorialization in this game is so good. You notice the game just tutorialized how you don't need to fully fence something in, right? Because it was fenced up against a hill. I don't understand what that would do, Gum Gum. Like, why would having 3 juries fix anything? Like, what's the point of that? Okay. Look at this farm, these buildings, these fields, this tree! Such sinners are beyond redemption. Such shameless construction, such brazen building. This whole town stinks of creation. You're heretics, the lot of you. Heretics and builders all. Reverend, this man is a builder, a foul, irredeemable sinner. Do something, destroy him. You could not have arrived at a better time, my disciple. You must work the fields here. You must till the soil, water the crops, with neither rest nor respite. Not you too, Reverend. What? By the way, this guy's class is farmer, if you missed that. Very well, I will join you in your den of iniquity. I can't disobey the pastor's orders.
Yeah.
Great work. You didn't just find some new seeds, you found a new friend, too. Clayton's just like me, a descendant of one of Furrowfield's finest farming families. Blech, say that 5 times fast. That must be why he can't help but plow any field he sees. What, Ross? I've been thinking, Runner. We've been doing as Pastor said, and now we got a big field, and the data tree's growing bigger, too. But surely those 3 tasks can't be all there is to it. It just seems too easy. I suppose we'll just have to wait and see. now we need to harvest wheat. But first, I see the improvements to my village are proceeding apace, and your skills as a builder are improving likewise. Wonderful work, lad. As builder-in-chief of our humble home, it falls to you to inspire us to ring the bell. Oh yeah, we gotta level up first, right? Yeah. You dragged me here against my will, forced me to toil in your fields. I am a devout follower of the children of Hargon. Can't you understand this is a living hell for me? O wise and powerful master of destruction, please have mercy on your wayward children. What? You mean I looked like I was having fun when I was tilling the field? Speak for yourself, you builder! In fact, if you love building so much, why don't you go ahead and build us a barn? You don't even have the bare necessities. Here's what you need for it. And it needs to be a small room. So now's when we need to check things like size. Honestly, I think this counts as small. Yep, small room. Okay, so... what do we need? What do we need? Hang on. Store some stuff really quick. Oh, yeah, whatever. Malroth, are you comfortable there? Okay. Just checking. Oh, I need wheat to progress. Now, that's interesting. No, I agree. It's actually funny, because the actual tutorial, the actual intro is bad. And then there's this, which is not. Shrug, I suppose. So chests can be used as part of the enemy. Wow, lore. As part of the party AI thing I've talked about already. So, like, for example, one of the things I could do is I could set up a chest right here by the field, or in the field. I forget exactly how you have to place it. But then when people go through, they'll actually harvest the crops and then dump them in the chest. And if you put a chest with ingredients near the kitchen, they'll use the ingredients from the kitchen in cooking, and you get it, right? You get the idea. So chests become part of that whole thing. Yes, Gum Gum? It's all about your tone. It's like saying thank you. It's easy to say thank you and be a dick about it. Thank you. Or thanks. Oh, if only my old mom and pa could have lived to say this. When I was just a whippersnapper, they gave me these treasures. Handed them down through generations, they have.
Yay!
Balls of worm food. Them balls of worm food are brilliant. Pop them in the ground, it'll turn the ground into a lovely green grass. The second you put them down, I'll cover everything in green grass, so don't go dropping them too close to your fields. Don't worry, I won't. Now we can make worm food. Which we'll do later, because I want all of this to be green instead of the frickin' slime. The thing I'm wondering is, do I want to have... Oh, I could do that. Yes. Yes. Good. Good. Oh, sorry. While we're at it.
Yeah.
You know how yummy those cabbages are, but the rest of us haven't had a chance to eat them yet. What we really need is a chest full of food, then we'd be able to help ourselves to something whenever we're hungry. Please. Fill up a chest with 30 cabbages. I don't think I have 30 cabbages. I don't. Wow. Okay, yeah, sure. Hang on. Okay, here. I forget how. I think you need farmers to do it, but I believe you can also put seeds in a chest, and they'll go ahead and plant them. Thank you. I remember having issues getting that working last time, so it might be... I just don't know how to do it. Ah, you need to be fenced in to do that. Okay. Oh, whatever. We did this one manually. Okay. I think you're right, Crazy Norse. Sorry, I'm thinking. Oh, you can just go off and build, but you kind of can't, Evo. I know this is going to sound strange, but this isn't really a building game. This isn't Factorio. This isn't Satisfactory. This isn't Minecraft. It's an RPG. And so there's quests and progression and unlocks. So certain stuff just doesn't happen until you have a particular unlock.
Yep. Yep.
It does look like Minecraft. In the same way that Might and Magic 8 looks a lot like Wizardry. Or Final Fantasy 1 looks a lot like Final Fantasy 13. Or any comparison I can make ever. It's the same genre, but it's actually not. Sense make? Of course not. This isn't Minecraft. I'm just going to say that as bluntly as I can. I think I should be keeping track. We've so far said that 4 times since this particular review. Hey, I found my clicker, by the way. So 4 times I've had to explain that this isn't Minecraft. No, don't apologize. It's just funny because it's one of the most common things. Well, FF1 also doesn't look like FF13, von Wolfenstein. And this doesn't look like Minecraft. But I'm getting off topic. The point I'm trying to reach is that it's understandable why people look at this and go, oh, it's just Minecraft. And I honestly think that's a goddamn shame. Because it's not. Have fun, Crazy Horse. Okay, now that Crazy Horse is gone, time to go really crazy. Actually, what I'm really just doing is waiting for these to finish, growing. Because I really do want that. First, how do I want to... 2 stories up? 1 story up? Hang on, where's the ground? Let's figure out the ground. Here we go. Ground is here. It resembles Minecraft. The reason I find that so frustrating, and I'm not trying to sound derogatory towards you or the other people who have made that comment, Evo, is it's a derogatory comment. People don't say, oh, it looks like Minecraft. What they mean is, oh, it looks like Minecraft. And you see the distinction, right? I know people who have refused to play this game because it looks like Minecraft. That's like, no! No! But then again, I know people who refuse to play Paper Mario because they don't like Mario games. Look, I'm not trying to be judgmental, but honestly... I'm not going to get into the fact that disliking Mario games is alien to me. Ross! It's just that, like... Yeah, Mario can't be an RPG. That's ridiculous. There's no such thing. Looks like I have to actually go 1 up with this. Listen, Ross, all I'm saying is that you're terrible, okay? All I'm saying. See, I usually focus in the other direction, Yura. I say this is an RPG which builds instead of fights. Because I feel like they're a little more... it's a little more descriptive, but more to the point, it emphasizes the part that's really important. This is an RPG. And it is. Top to bottom, this is an RPG. The fact that we build stuff instead of kill stuff doesn't change the fact that it's an RPG with quests and levels and stats and equipment and a main story focus. There's a new Superman show? You know what? I think it's Snickers time. That's how important it is that there's a new Superman show. Hang on. Give me a second, because my beloved sister's chair is sort of in the way of everything here. Oh my god. 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 Come on. There. I've procured a Snickers. See, that's the thing, though, Euro. And this is going to sound strange. I honestly don't think Minecraft fans... Well, okay, let me walk this back. Obviously, Minecraft fans can like this. I'm a Minecraft fan. I like this. But, like, someone looking for Minecraft, that's not this, right? Because it's not. Like, imagine popping into the game and being like, alright, let's go build, and then you have to go through 4 hours of intro, tutorial, and cutscenes, as well as progression and plot in order to get to the first zone here, and then having barely nothing, having hardly anything unlocked, so you can't build anything, because you have to go through more plot and quests, right? You're not being derogatory, Evo. I know you're not. Although that's because I know you. I do know people who have said what you have said in a derogatory fashion. Yeah, no, just... So, to speak derogatorily for a second, I myself have called this game... Imagine if Minecraft had actual gameplay. Now, obviously that's derogatory because obviously Minecraft has gameplay. But you do get what I mean by that. Imagine if there was progression and routing and area design and terrain design and quests and puzzles and bosses and gameplay in Minecraft, because that's kind of this. Oh my god, come on, I'm just waiting for the wheat to finish. Thank you, DirectD, very, very much. Always. Always and ever. Give me a moment, I will jot that down. I do not agree with that. I'm sorry. I'm going to flat out disagree with you at that point. Unless you're talking about the modding scene, which obviously I am not. Finish growing! Hi, Larian. Uh-oh. Also, just like in an RPG, in case you're running low on resources, enemies tend to drop stuff, like seeds. They do, however, attack your crops. Because of course they do. Oh my god, finish growing! Combat is definitely an important element of the game, ironically, despite the fact that I just mentioned it's an RPG without combat. But it is... Oh, wheat! Wheat! Delicious wheat! And you know what we can make with wheat? We can make bread! We're not going to do that, though. There's actually something else I want to make first. Which is this. We can make bread, so your options are bread and cabbages. Which would you like? So, young man, how much slow are you? Hang on. Argon be praised. The barn is just as I had imagined it. Runner, I can't hide it any longer. Ever since I came into your farm, ever since I saw the wondrous things you've built, I've fallen in love with building. There's no point in fighting it. I'll just have to say goodbye to the children of Hargon and become a builder like you. Oh, great and powerful Hargon, I beg your forgiveness for the sins I am to commit. Do not turn me into a dog, I pray. Well, I hope this incident has proved instructive to you. Rooms can come in different sizes, specific rooms, yada yada yada, tutorial. Have some cabbages. Seeds. And some wheat seeds. I think, in order to speed this along a little bit, let's... You missed it, Evo. It literally was raining just a few minutes ago. But the lack of roofs is never an issue. Now, this is partially because of... It's a joke, because in most of the older Dragon Quest games, like the 2D games, there's no roofs, so that you can see into the game. But it's also kind of a gameplay feature, because not having a roof, or rather, not requiring a roof, means you can see what's in there, because most of the time your view is up here. Funny thing is, there's nothing preventing you from adding roofs, so... One of the things my niece did was run around making every place have a roof, because of course she did. What's really funny then is she then constantly had issues seeing where she was going and what was where because the roof was in the way. Anyways, so okay, let's do this. Let's do a little temporary thing here, shall we? This. And then... I hate to build up when I actually plan to build down eventually, but whatever. Just for now. You know, I was about to say I'm surprised the Reaper hasn't come out to kill me yet, but I think that's just going to curse me if I say that. That do it? No. Okay, so it looks like it doesn't work with the doors. Who's Reaper? Well, honestly, give it a minute. I'm pretty sure he'll pop out soon. He pops out at nighttime. He's fun. He's a fun guy. No, he's not a fungus. Why is this not working? What am I doing wrong here? Oh, I need a gate. That's what I'm doing wrong. I guess it's right here. There we go. There we go. No? Gum? No, they do the Star Fox thing. Emergency. Emergency. Oh, there's the Reaper. So he's got a lot of health, and he hits like a truck. And he can be a dick. So we're gonna go sleep now to make him go away. Because sure, okay, there. Quickly. Kill is a bit too strong of a word, but he does knock them out, yes. Okay, so let's try something, shall we? Let's put a chest, like, right here. And let's put a bunch of seeds in the chest. And let's see if they'll actually sow them, shall we? I don't think there is Blade Chaval, but please correct me if I'm wrong. Like, I don't remember if he drops anything, for example. Okay, so they're all refusing to work the fields. I think I know why.
Yep.
Okay, let's make sure to classify this as a field. Yeah.
No.
Maybe? Maybe? What am I doing wrong? Do as I command you, my minions. No, it categorized it correctly. Look, we're in an enormous field right there, see? In fact, we're not even at max size. It might be a time of day thing? Like, they should be tilling, and they should be sowing seeds. They're not doing either of those things. Time to start the executions. Get a couple more chests while we're here. Actually, you know what? Let's just put one in here. Oh, okay. Well, now they're watering. That's it. Look, Evo. They're the ones not doing their jobs, okay? Anybody who doesn't do their job has to be immediately executed. Maybe the chest needs to be in there? I don't think it does. But then again, I don't know. Well, screw it. Let's accidentally break the field. Let's plop the chest in, like, over here in the corner. Put the seeds in here. Okay, now they're tilling. So that's good. So I've gotten them to do one of the things I want them to do. We should have 2 farmers. Oh, Clayton's eating right now. That's why he's not doing it. No, he's putting stuff away? Thanks, Clayton. Are you gonna do your frickin' job as a farmer? Yeah. Like that, see? Delicious hearts. Okay, maybe they'll sow seeds once everything's tilled. Well, first things first, complete overhaul of the entire system, Gunga. Completely destroy, like, the noble houses, the spice, the ruins, the emperor. Completely shut down the... oh god. The twit faces. I can't remember how to pronounce it all of a sudden. Okay, so... is anyone gonna sow any seeds? Actually, I was thinking of the Kwisatz Haderach or whatever, but yeah, the Bene Gesserit is more accurate, sorry. Okay, hang on. I have a random idea. We're gonna put all the seeds in here. That's what I'm trying to get them to sow the seeds, Larian. I've got dozens of seeds, and they're all just like, what? You know what, that's valid. As I mentioned earlier, the game unlocks as you go, so it's entirely possible we have not unlocked planting seeds yet. I think you're right, Slifer. I think that's exactly what's happening. Okay, well, I do need to kind of progress the main quest so I can get the hammer so I can build my base. So, let's just go ahead and do this myself. Yeah, exactly, you know. Congrats, Mr. Red. That's pretty long for Kingsfield, I'll be honest, but I did go off on several lengthy rants, so I suppose that's my fault. Yeah, they're not even harvesting, too. Did you notice that? So they're not harvesting and they're not sowing. They will water, and they will till, and that's it. Oh, well. While we wait for them to water that, because they should water that while I'm away, go check something out. That reminds me, where are you apprenticing? You mentioned that, but it was in the middle of us doing stuff, so I was a little distracted at the time. I mean, I'm trying not to be too crazy with this one, Slifer. And I want to try something new this time around, because I've played this game several times now. Hey look, one of the easiest things to make in the game. A healing item. Let's do this the easy way. Sweet. Soil. Alright, so I kind of want to do something. So let's save. Check on the progress of the farm on our way back. Is it all watered? It is not all watered. That's interesting. Alright, let's hang around until it's all watered, because I know plants progress while you're away. But I need everything to be watered. We're just gonna chill for a minute. Hey, Diabeepus. Ooh. Thank you very, very much, as always. And while I'm here, I'm also gonna bow to Evo, just because. Thank you, Evo. Alright. Let's jot that down for... the BRPG block. Mario Kart block, the LTTP randomizer. You got it. Thank you again, Evo, but also Diabetes. Thank you. Okay, everything's watered. Excellent. Listen, I'm just going to bow to you. You're gonna have to get used to that. That's your life now. That's another thing they did as a quality of life change in this one. Tools and weapons got their own dedicated items. Oh, I know, Slifer. I mean, the Isle of Awakening is kind of the build no really area, but I get what you mean completely. You know what one of my biggest complaints about this game is? The co-op is only for the Isle of Awakening. See, we can't actually play the campaign co-op. Otherwise, honestly, I probably would have played this game even more than I already did. Okay, we only have to do that little trek I just did once, because we'll have fast travel if we manage to survive the route down, which we did. What's a human doing here? Going on a picnic, are you? That would explain the grin. This is Furrowfield Bog. You don't want to get lost here, so I suggest you touch the Naviglobe before heading further in. The fat rats and bodkins won't give you any trouble. In fact, if you're having any trouble, you can chat with them, because we're all cool. Also, anybody who remembers last time remembers how much use I got out of these things. My niece placed these everywhere. And when I say everywhere, I mean she actually did it so that in order to get to the bathroom, you had to go through a field of spikies in order to reach the bathroom. Because she thought it would be funny. I think she's evil. I don't know. I'm getting a vibe here. Oops, I should eat. So, would the Empire fund Raynor's rebels? I mean, as much fun as Cold Wars and proxy battles are, no, the Empire probably wouldn't get involved unless they were getting no really involved, you know? Now, if they're getting no really involved, then they'd get no really involved. Not the wrong way. Maybe? Oh, that's funny, Slifer. Nope. I mean, I could do the puzzle while I'm here, but this isn't what I was after. Oh, this is one of the easy puzzles. There we go. I hear this. I guess I'll do the other puzzle while I'm right here. Also crabs, which give good meat, actually. I don't have the damage to kill them at all, so we're not even gonna bother. Listen, nobody needs a stone sword. I might actually have to build one stone sword, which is ironic, because I will then use it exactly once before immediately getting rid of it. Although I could give it to an ally, so it's not like it's a waste of time. Let's see, what am I missing? At the moment, cabbages and wheat, but eventually, lots of stuff. Check this out. Is it under... Okay, I'm not actually sure where it keeps track of it, but it does keep track of the different foods that you can cook, and it's a big freaking list. Okay. Where are we? And why are we not where I want to be? Oh, that's why. Actually, while we're here... Hey, J. Palmer, donut flavored ice cream? Oh, that sounds good. Call me a weirdo. I really liked Heart of the Swarm and Void, but I will admit I wasn't sure I liked where the story, where the plot was going. I just really liked the games. Like, when we review those games, they're going to score extraordinarily well. but they're still going to be buried in negatives for stupid cutscenes, you know? We're done. Which I know is like one of the least stupid cutscenes, but for some reason it's always stuck out in my head as one of the most stupid cutscenes of that entire game. Just whatever. Yeah, they don't have unique ice cream flavors around here, so I'm kind of... There it is. Limited on choice for that. There's the Reaper. We do not have trout-flavored ice cream. Or yogurt, for that matter. Okay, so I kind of want it to not be nighttime when I do this. It just took me a while to get here. So let's get our food up. Yep. You know my favorite part about that? Harrigan, like, becomes super powerful with the power of the Primal Zerg. Doesn't change her appearance. Almost at daytime. I might technically sequence skip a little bit here just to get it to daytime, because I think there's a bed up here. Well, I know there's a waypoint. Let's go and grab that. Waypoints are good. I know, like, the art team of Blizzard is just so incapable of making new art assets, after all. This is sarcasm. So we may be cutting off stream early for me to go work on the basement, just as a heads up. But I kind of want to do this first, so let me message my sister here. Let me fight this boss battle first, okay? Question mark. I mean, getting the basement done is not only something I kind of need to do, it's also literally a ticking clock. There's going to be a certain point at which I kind of can't really do that anymore. Come on, Gabe. There you go. Any beds in here? Beds? Bed. Least favorite Blizzard game artwork? Diablo 1. Which barely counts. No, the actual answer is Warcraft 1. No, Act, thank God. It's quite dry and quite clean. I am rather happy with it. Okay, so let's do this battle that I said I was going to do. Wish me luck. In fact, I'm going to save before I do it. Yeah, early Blizzard, honestly, no. Although, I like Warcraft 2. Legitimately. Yeah, exactly, Justin. Among other things, but yeah. So, boss battle. So he's only got 2 attacks. Both of them hurt like hell, and are easily dodgeable, but, you know. My niece actually beat this boss by herself, which I know doesn't sound like a big deal, but I kind of liked that she managed it without me having to help her. Because it was a nice lesson in patience. Now, granted, this is not a great boss battle. You know, fight, wait is never exactly good boss design. 3 attacks, excuse me. But still, it's a she does need to learn the lesson of patience, because she has a tendency to go berserker charging in and never wait, and... Why are you looking at me so weird? Anyway, point being, she managed it without assistance. That's the point I'm trying to reach. Would Warcraft 2 review well? No. Warcraft 2 has limited game balance, barely any difference between the factions. The story axis is actually surprisingly good in Warcraft 2, but it's also very basic, so it's not going to get a lot of positives. And the map design sucks. It's honestly some of the worst map designs Blizzard's ever put out. You can tell they were still getting used to concepts like balance, resource placement, unit placement, terrain design. Warcraft 1 might actually be a lamentation. It's awful. Like, Warcraft 1, guaranteed, would be a net negative. Like big, big net negative. So we're just going to dodge for a minute while Balroth recovers. We're going to help him recover a bit faster. The game actually tutorializes this mechanic in the second island, but you can start doing this immediately. And yeah, Warcraft 3, if we ever manage to do a review of that game, raise eyebrows, is going to honestly score very well. It has very few issues. It has very, very good level design, very, very good unit design, good visuals, good storytelling, good story. Warcraft 3 might unironically be Blizzard's best game. Not counting WoW, but WoW's cheating. So, best non-MMO. There we go. There is no legal way to play the original Warcraft 3. In fact, even if you have the original CD, you have to pull a trick in order to trick it into not updating. Because if it tries to update, then it will try to update with the new Reforged version. Which in some cases you don't have access to. Diablo 3 would be the other one. And, I mean, honestly, StarCraft 2, while we're on the subject. Hang on, let's go and grab Malroth here. Ooh, let's get hit in the face. I have my original CD, too. In fact, I have my Frozen Throne CD and everything. Actually, Malroth is doing most of the damage here, Evo. He's also tanking. You notice enemies almost always automatically target him over me. By design, of course. Agreed, Rex. Booyaka. Yes, there's no excuse to get rid of the original work. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go delete some of my old videos because they suck. Hey, Runner, defeating all those monsters made me feel stronger again. I can feel the power flowing through my veins. You don't seem quite so pumped up. I'm starting to get a bit worried about you. That settles it. I'll just have to think of a trick I'll teach you that even a weakling like you can use. How about this? Start by charging your power. And then... let it out. Not bad at all, Runner, even for you. Remember, just hold down and blah, blah, blah. And yes, Warcraft 3 Reforged literally has different gameplay mechanics of the original. So some of the original campaigns actually don't play right because of the fact that the mechanics are different.
Yay!
So the real reason we just did that is to get that poison needle. We will be using that poison needle for 90% of this game. That's not a joke. You might be wondering, why? Well, there are lots and lots of weapons you can get in this game, and you can give them to other people. But the poison needle has a 10% chance to instantly kill the enemy. That includes bosses. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, on average, and they're dead. There's nothing that compares to that until you get to the high-end weapons. And I mean, you have to get way in there There are better weapons. Later on, you'll be able to get a falcon sword, which actually attacks twice with each swing. And there's some other stuff you can get later on as well that's better. But the poison needle will handle you for the majority of the game. So yeah, I'm gonna go build that really quick. Which requires a night soil, which we actually can't get yet, and a grass fiber. I'm pretty sure we can get a grass fiber. Okay, so I don't remember where to get grass fiber, actually. We'll have to figure that out. And I know where to get, the other thing. The night soil. Oh yeah, by the way, funny thing, it'll actually tell you how to unlock some of these recipes, which is just kind of a weird feature, but whatever. Oh yeah, I should build Malroth's new thing, too, while I'm sitting here thinking about it. Malroth. Got your present. There you are. By contrast, getting him new weapons is always worthwhile. Here you go, buddy. Did you make me a new weapon? Thanks, I love it. You're welcome, dude. I'll use this one from now on, but I'll keep the Oaken Club you made me, too. Make sure you do. After all, it's the first thing you ever gave me. I suppose it's got sentimental value. But if you invent any weapons that would make me deal even more damage, build them straight away and hand them over. You got it. Okay, I said I'd help my sister, and I should probably not get stuck playing this game. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna harvest some wheat. Would Vanilla WoW have any gameplay positives? Probably. Probably. Oh my god, 48. Really, game? What's the gameplay for Vanilla WoW? Music. That's cheating, but it's still true. I saw you squirreling away those cabbages for me. You know, chests are useful for storing stuff, load them up with food. Ever since the children of Hargon banned us from making new things, we've been forced to rely on their handouts to survive. But to heck with that. Now we can grow our own food and stuff our gobs till we're fit to pop. Oh, by the way, those seeds you planted won't last forever. Once you've harvested them enough time, they won't grow anymore. So don't feel like you need to harvest every time, everything you can, because we can only eat so much, you know. Tyrion Forgering's quests, and several other quests, honestly, would be story pluses, not gameplay pluses. We need a way to aiding that's more civilized rather than scarfing down a cabbage out of a chest. What do you reckon? Do you think you could invent something like that? If you do, do me a favor, go outside. Put it outside, will you? I've always wanted to enjoy a meal while looking over our fields. Of course, it won't be civilized to sit in the mud. We'll need a table and a stool. And then put some food on top. The biggest thing I can tell you right off the top of my head, Lo, is that it changed how the damage values work. Which meant that... How do I explain this? So Frozen Throne was a rebalancing pass and actually added a new damage type. So different damage values and different damage types for a lot of different units. The thing is, the campaign for, vanilla was designed around the vanilla stats. So they didn't adjust that. So you've got Frozen Throne stats and ability, or damage types for levels that are not designed for them. It's not like a big game-breaking thing, but it is literally wrong. And in several cases, it's very noticeable that your units just aren't doing the right things, or that NPC or enemy units aren't doing the right things, because they literally can't, right? That's one thing right off the top of my head. Now, I said I would AFK, and AFK I shall. And by AFK, I mean I'm actually going to chop off stream for a bit. It's okay, we're only an hour early in chopping off stream. I will probably be back at some point, but I'm going to go work on the basement, okay? See y'all at some point.